the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training on a Friday afternoon, and the very next day he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. You don't know how much somebody can hide what's going on inside their head. Store your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Welcome. We have a quorum, and so I'm going to go ahead and request that we do roll call.
Best present, Jason King absent, Adara Lewis absent, Tim Lupin present, Annie Clark absent, Annie Irvin absent, Jim Ashby present, Greg Hackenberg present, Jennifer Green present, Shawanda Pore absent. We have 7 members constituting a quorum.
Thank you.
6. Sorry, 6.
Thank you. Welcome to the New Orleans Historic District Landmarks Commission meeting of June 3rd, 2026. We would like to thank you for attending and appreciate your support and cooperation with the HDLC. The HDLC is located in City Hall on the 7th floor of the city's one-stop shop. Our mission is to safeguard the heritage of the city of New Orleans by preserving and regulating historic landmarks and districts which reflect elements of its cultural, social, economic, political, and architectural history. The full HDLC mission statement can be found online. The HDLC has written guidelines that outline our policies and procedures. They are available on the city's website. We ask that you determine if your property is in an HDLC district or if your property is an HDLC landmark before beginning any repairs on the property. If the work or repairs are visible from the public right-of-way, the work requires a certificate from the HDLC, which is known as a Certificate of Appropriateness or a C of A. You must get a C of A prior to beginning work. Once a C of A is issued, changes must be approved before work can commence on these changes. If you have any questions about our policies or procedures, we have a highly qualified staff ready to assist you. Please pay attention to the following meeting rules. If you plan on speaking and are not the applicant, you must fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the staff before the meeting. These cards are just at the front when you walk in. They're green. They look like this. All of our speakers must state their name and address for the record. Our meetings are recorded and televised. There is a 2-minute speaking time limit. We ask that you turn all cell phones off or on vibrate. Phone conversations should be conducted outside of this room. And if your application is denied or there is a no action vote, you have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to the City Council in writing, and the staff will furnish you with the details of this appeals process. Thank you. Okay, moving forward. Item number 2 on the agenda, minutes of the Wednesday, May 6, 2026 meeting. Can we have commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Hackenberg, seconded by Commissioner Ross. Great. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you for raising your hands, everyone. I know last time we had a note on that. Item number 3 is the CLG review of 2925 Audubon Street. Is there an applicant present for this item for 2925 Audubon Street?
This is an intergovernmental review.
Okay. No one's present. Great.
As a certified local government agency, we are asked to provide recommendations on all nominations for listing.
Yvette, I don't think I'm sorry, Ms. Jones, your mic is not working. Thank you.
As a certified local government agency, we are asked to provide recommendations on all nominations for listings on the National Register of Historic Places that are in Orleans Parish. The following is excerpted from the National Register of Historic Places nomination form prepared by Michael Whitehead. The entirety of this report is available at the site below. The Church of the Helping Hand of Spiritual Faith is a 2-story church located in the Marleyville, Fontainebleau neighborhood of New Orleans. It was built in 1928. The Church of the Helping Hand of Spiritual Faith is locally significant under criterion A in the areas of social history and ethnic heritage for its association with African American community-based support systems during the early and mid-20th century. Subsequent congregations have continued charitable activities, reinforcing the building's role as a center of community aid. The building is a significant example of how American community-based support systems and informal job assistance from 1928 to 1976. Staff concurs that Mother Crozier and her church played a vital role in the lives of African American working class Marleyville, Fontainebleau residents during the Jim Crow era and beyond. These types of community institutions are an integral part of the New Orleans cultural fabric and warrant recognition for their significance to the neighborhoods they serve and the city as a whole. HDLC staff recommends that the Commission support this listing on the National Register of Historic Places.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on the CLG review of 2925 Audubon Street. No public comments. Commissioners? Just one reminder, right? We need to, is it?
For this one, we just need a motion to recommend and then a vote.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying. Do we have a commissioner who's willing to make a motion on this application? The staff is recommending that we move this forward.
Make a motion to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Carson. Seconded by Commissioner Ashby. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Okay, this next item, I'm just going to remind, it was difficult to hear you on this last one, so if you can lean into the mic, or we can see if we can raise the volume on the mic, that would be helpful. I know we have a number of folks in the audience for this one, so I want to make sure everyone can hear this application. The landmark nomination of 4634 Wilson Avenue.
This is the landmark nomination of 4634 Wilson Avenue, which is located on Lot 6 of Municipal Square 4 in the Plum Orchard subdivision in New Orleans East. This building faces Wilson Avenue, is backed by Rosemont Place, and bound by Drew Avenue and Selma Street. As this building is not in the National Register or Local Register Historic District, there are no FEMA district surveys of this neighborhood. The building was constructed between 1960 and 1965, with the Camelback portion added in 1965. Rosemont Records was one of the most prolific record labels based in New Orleans and was one of the first Black-owned and run recording studios in the city. Alfred Taylor and his wife Martha purchased the property at 4634 Wilson Avenue in the Rosemont subdivision in 1960. While Taylor recorded and released albums by many local gospel performers, by the late 60s he expanded out into other genres. In the 1970s saw the release of disco, soul, and funk, as well as psychedelic rock albums and multiple punk 45s. By the 1980s, he was recording local rap performers, and Rosemont released some of New Orleans' earliest hip-hop records. Starting in the 1970s, Rosemont also became known as a place to record local political ads, featuring Jesse Jackson and Coretta Scott King. The studio at the rear of the house at 4634 Wilson Avenue served as a recording studio for Rosemont Records until Taylor bought 1938 Dumaine Street in 1968. By 1986, Rosemont Records had moved to 222 North Tonti Street. Statement of significance. The Historic District Landmarks Commission evaluates the significance of a structure based on the 4 criteria as established by Section 8422 of the City Code, any one of which can make a building eligible for nomination. In this instance, this nomination was put forth by the homeowner, who voiced their wishes that the building be protected under HDLC jurisdiction. Additionally, staff finds that the building also meets criteria 1 of the 4 criteria, as it exemplifies or reflects a community's broad cultural history. As such, the staff recommends that the building be nominated for study as a landmark. I'd also just like to thank Susan Reese. She nominated this building. It's her family's, and it was an honor to tell her family's story.
This is wonderful. Thank you for the report. And apologies, I didn't ask for a speaker to come forth for this beforehand, but Susan Reese, or is there anyone who wants to come forth and speak on this? I also have a number of public comment cards on this as well, so look forward to hearing from you. Please step forward to the mic in the middle, and you'll state your name and address for the record. You can pull the mic down so we can hear you.
Hi, good morning. I am Susan Reese. My address is 4800 Riverside Drive. I live in the city of South Holland, Illinois, which is a south suburb of Chicago. And I am here. Is that everything? Was there something else? Okay.
You're great. You've got 2 minutes.
Oh, great. Yeah. So I'm here to represent the children of Rosemont Recording Studio. And this is a grandson. And we worked in that studio all our life. We were raised there because it was at the back of our home, so a lot of music was performed there. We just want to add that we want to bring the history of New Orleans music back, especially the type of music that was done and the variety of music that was done there in the studio. So we just want to bring that history back and have, oh God, I'm so excited for this opportunity. This is for the city. So we just want them to see where this music was produced and recorded, and and things like that. My 2 minutes is up, please.
No, you've got time.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, what else? Okay, well, I'm gonna make it up. So thank you so much. We have more who wants to speak.
Wonderful. Okay. I have 3 other speakers cards. I've got Alfred Taylor, Mark Taylor, and is it Marilyn Taylor? Is that correct?
How you doing? I'm Alfred Taylor.
Wonderful. Please state your address for the record.
4634 Wilson Avenue.
Thank you.
Right. I'm here to respectfully request historic designation for the property located at 4634 Wilson Avenue, the birthplace of Rosemont Records. This nomination is not simply about preserving a residence. It's about recognizing a site that played a significant role in the cultural, musical, and entrepreneurial history of New Orleans. From this home, Alfred E. Taylor Sr. established what would become Rosemont Records, a pioneering Black-owned recording studio and label that documented, preserved, and amplified the voices of countless artists, churches, community organizations, and cultural leaders. The significance of 4634 Wilson Avenue extends far beyond its physical structure. It represents innovation, artistic opportunity, community empowerment, and the preservation of New Orleans' rich musical heritage. 4634 Wilson Avenue is historically significant because it was the birthplace of Rosemont Records, a recording enterprise that grew from a modest home-based studio into one of the New Orleans' most influential independent music operations. From this location, Rosemont Records helped preserve and distribute recordings spanning gospel, rhythm and blues, jazz, soul, international music, spoken word, political advertising, and some of the earliest examples of New Orleans hip-hop. The studio provided opportunities for artists and organizations that often had limited access to professional recording services and helped ensure that important community voices were documented for future generations. The story of Rosemont Records is also a story of Black entrepreneurship during a period where ownership opportunities in the recording industry.
Can we extend the mic time, please?
I tried to go through it.
They installed a new device on us that cuts the mic at 2 minutes, everyone. Thank you so much for your comments. Would Mark Taylor like to step forward?
Good afternoon, Council. Mark Taylor, 61 years old, 505 Lavoie Street, Mandeville, Louisiana, 70448. I'll keep this short. The iconic Rosemont Studio at 4634 Wilson Avenue was the first place at 9 years old I put my voice on vinyl. Shortly after that, I was taught by Alfred Taylor of Rosemont the engineering aspect of the recording studio. The building is still solidly existing, thus I have no opposition with it absolutely becoming a historic icon. In fact, I strongly encourage it. Thank you.
Please step forward.
Hi, I'm Lynn Taylor. The address is 4634 Wilson Avenue. And that's my older sister, my older brother, my twin brother, and myself, and then my solid sister. The shirt, and the reason why I'm bringing up the shirt is that was my mother, and she did all the accounting. Rosemont wouldn't have been able to get further if it hadn't been for my mother. I do that shirt in honor of us when we lost her Sunday. She was going to be here to speak, so I'm speaking for her. But I'm also letting you all know I'm an international singer. And New Orleans, I'm not here most of the time as far as location. I also have a space in the Dallas area. I am marketed as a Nouveau Orleans or New Orleans artist for what New Orleans brings. When Katrina hit, my phone rang off the hook asking, is Rosemont still around? Is your dad still around? How can we get in touch with it? I went back overseas, so I came home, spent some time getting the house back together. I went back overseas with a brand new program, a brand new concert showing more New Orleans. And it was one of my most successful runs over there. I'm back home because of COVID, but okay. It is worth saving. New Orleans is known, Rosemount is known internationally. And I am ever so proud to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on this application? Okay, you can hand that to the staff. Okay, no other speakers on this application? Is there any additional public comment on this? No public comment. I just want to state I'm very aware of Rosemont Records and just thrilled to see this as a landmark or being recommended for a landmark. I think the staff's application is incredibly thorough, and that clearly comes from having support from the applicant too, but really well done across the board. So thank you all, and thank you for being here and supporting it. I think this is, the exact type of application that we love to see, that is not, so much more happened there than just the architecture itself, but what happened in that space. So thank you all for being here, and just excited to see this one come in front of us. So commissioners, does anyone want to make a motion? Thank you. Commissioner Green?
I make a motion that we move this forward.
Thank you. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Carson, seconds. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you everyone, and thanks to all the hard work that went into this. Thank y'all. I feel like y'all should get a picture. I just want to say this is pretty incredible. All right, thank you everyone. That was really great. Thank you. Okay, moving forward to the next application. Let's see. Okay, great, thank you. Sorry, we have lots of public speakers cards today, so thank you, Commissioner Hackenberg, for helping me out here. I'm gonna go through the consent agenda. We have one item on the consent agenda. We are at a bare quorum today. We have one commissioner whose their application is on this consent agenda. So I just want to make a motion to see if we can remove that item from consent agenda, and we will hear it later as consent agenda once we have another commissioner in the room. That item.
I think we have to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules, yes. So let's make a motion to suspend the rules first. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Green. We got a motion from you, Commissioner Green, and a seconded by Commissioner Hackenberg. Great. All those in favor to suspend the rules? Wonderful. Motion carries. And then with that, we have, I guess, a motion to remove item D, which is 2329 to 31 Dauphine Street from consent agenda. Thank you, Commissioner Green, seconded by Commissioner Hackenberg. Thank you. All those in favor? Great. That item will be heard later on the agenda, and that will allow us to continue moving forward the consent agenda as it is.
And then we have to make a motion to reinstate the rules.
Correct. And a motion to reinstate the rules. Commissioner Green? Thank you. Commissioner Hackenberg, seconded. Wonderful. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, so now we're back on agenda. Item 5, consent agenda. I'm going to read through these items. Item A, 1332 St. Mary Street. Item B, 2847 Chippewa Street. Item C, 1323 to 25 St. Philip Street. Item D was removed from consent agenda, which is 2329 to 31 Dauphine Street. Item E, 2708 to 10 Carondelet Street. Do I have any public comments? Thank you. I have a public comment card on item C. It looks like 1323 to 25 St. Philip Street. Opposition. Yes. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, hi, I'm Helen Desagne, 1319, 1321 St. Philip Street.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes to let us know your
All right, so as the address shows, I own the neighboring property. It's a beautiful old double shotgun house, and when I became aware that the vacant lot was going to be completely obstructed by a new structure, it's not exactly that I'm against, somebody, beautifying the neighborhood, but it's, from a personal standpoint, it will block all the light that comes through the house, which is one of the main reasons. I mean, it's a beautiful house, but the natural light that shines through the stained glass windows will be completely blocked out. And it's an issue for me, especially because I have a short-term rental. And on a bigger sort of landscape perspective, I don't know what's going to be erected. I just wonder about the historic neighborhood, and especially our block, which is, a lot of beautiful old houses that, many of us have tried to preserve and, keep their spirit alive while still, keeping them, up and running so that they can survive and thrive. So I just wanted to express, my concern both on, selfishly as a homeowner and also on behalf of, our little block and our neighborhood, which is, which we all love as, owners and neighbors of that property.
Thank you for your comments. Just to address those, so we appreciate you being here. We know you have comments and concerns. The HDLC, we have very strict guidelines on what our regulations allow us to review. So if concerns are about size of building and or blocking of daylight, those are governed by the zoning ordinance and other things that we actually don't review at this commission. So in order for us to remove this from consent agenda, I think we would need something that's relevant to HDLC guidelines in order to do that for discussion. We obviously know that you have concerns, but just so that you know, that's how we evaluate in terms of removing it from consent agenda for review. But appreciate those comments. Thank you for being here. Okay. Do we have any additional public comment on the consent agenda? Seeing we have no additional public comment on consent agenda, commissioners, I'm looking for a motion, and that would include if you want to remove and hear item C separately. Do you mind speaking into the mic? Sorry, we got...
Move we approve the current consent agenda.
Thank you.
As such.
Thank you, Commissioner Lupin. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Carson seconds. All those in favor? Sorry, raise your hands, everyone. I got all those in favor, Commissioner Carson. Great. The motion carries unanimously. The consent agenda has been approved. If your item is on consent agenda, obviously with the, except for item D, you are free to leave. You do not have to be in this meeting any longer today. And good luck with your project. Okay, new business work applications. Item A, 2827 to 29 St. Thomas Street. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Wonderful. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Brian J. Mackle of Brian J. Mackle Roofing LLC, 39080 McQueen Road, Pearl River, Louisiana, 70452. And I'm here to request that we be allowed to replace the existing natural slate roof.
I'm going to pause you for just a moment. We need to do the staff report and then we'll hear your comments following.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
This is an application to request to remove existing slate roofing and install an asphalt shingle roof at a contributing rated one-story single-family residential building in full control Irish Channel. The applicant is requesting to remove the existing slate roof due to deterioration and delamination of the tiles. The guidelines state that if over 20% of the tiles are damaged, then replacement may be warranted. Further, slate roofs also have a lifespan of 60 to 125 years, and this roof is at the later end of that period. As such, staff recommends approval of the removal of the slate tiles and installation of new architectural asphalt shingles to be chosen from the HDLC list of approved roof brands and colors.
Thank you. Okay, to the applicant, you wish to address the commission. You have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yes. As you might know, by the amount of C certificates of appropriateness we get, that we're conservationists by heart. But this roof has exceeded its life expectancy in almost every way possible. My grandfather started Mackle Roofing in 1916, and I believe that's when the building was constructed. So we're at 110 years right now. And unfortunately, the slates themselves are just delaminating to the point that they're slipping off their nails at a rate that's just can't be managed anymore. And although Mr. Danko has tried and paid us to do this on numerous occasions, with every hard wind or every hard rain, we're losing numerous slates all the time. So that's why we think it's necessary now.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Hackenberg, I'm going to ask if there's any public comment on this application first. Is there any public comment? Okay, no public comment.
Okay, yeah, it's sad to see another slate roof go, but I mean, given the expense of it, and they do have a lifespan, this one's had a very long life, it seems. So I would make a motion to approve the replacement.
I'll second that. Thank you. And Commissioner Green seconds. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, item B, 3100 St. Claude Avenue. Is the applicant present? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Jessica Walker. My address is 701 Poydras Street, Suite 4100.
Great, thank you. Staff will make their presentation and we'll hear comments following.
This is the request to install a 10-foot tall fence at a contributing rated one-story commercial building in full control Bywater. The FEMA survey estimates 3100 St. Claude was constructed between 1870 and 1880. However, the building doesn't appear on the Sanborn map until 1893. The proposed fence conflicts with both the HDLC guidelines and the CZO. The HDLC guidelines generally limit fence height to a maximum of 7 feet and state that the fence should remain compatible with the scale and character of the historic district. Oversized fence can disturb the visual continuity of the streetscape and negatively impact the historic character of the area. While the proposed fence exceeds the typical height standards outlined in the guidelines, it is located at the rear of the commercial building and is consistent with the overall organization and previously reviewed design intent. The ARC also previously recommended approval for the related site elements, and the fence functions as a continuation of the approved rear yard treatment. In addition, the applicant received a continual use approval as well as zoning approval for the increased fence height. For these reasons, staff recommends approval of the proposed fence.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, please. Thank you. I don't think I have a lot to say about it, just to say that, yeah, we went through ARC and they were good with this height, and the height of the fence is part of our City Planning Commission approved conditional use provisos for sound and light and all the security ordinance that is tied to this fence height. There's no buildings behind it in the backyard, so it's not like blocking the front of a historic structure. That's what I have.
Great, thank you. Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no public comment, commissioners, this is in Bywater. Commissioner Carson?
Thank you. I think the design is wonderful. I'm looking a little bit to staff, though, on the grounds on which we would approve a higher fence. The reason why I ask that is that I understand perhaps in this case a conditional use is somewhat the justification here, but we also don't regulate use. We have our own standards. And so I'm a little conflicted because although I think the design is appropriate and consistent with the building type, I don't see how this doesn't set a precedent for, let's say, commercial fences in general.
We just discussed it with the Deputy Director, Eleanor Burke, and because they got the conditional use, that's why we were allowing them to do the 10-foot tall fence. Normally, we would not, because that obviously would set a precedent for other people being like, well, we got a conditional use and we would like a taller fence, and it's commercial and it's on the back part of the building versus like a front of the building. So that was kind of the reasoning behind it.
Right, and I think the part for me is just that it is the back of the building, but it is a street facing on a prominent street. Just a question for the applicant, the zoning waiver, what was the grounds for the zoning waiver?
Sorry, your mic is not on. I don't know.
No? Yes?
It's
Yes.
back on.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
thank
wonderful.
you.
Okay, we did not get a zoning waiver because we passed City Planning Commission with our final development plans for the conditional use. They approved it with the fence height that we have drawn. We were not, then it went through a building permit application, and zoning within safety and permits approved it. No one said, you cannot do this. I mean, I can tell you all the different arguments that we made that we should be able to do this, but that's how we end up here.
And also, I just want to make a note for the record and for people that are watching this, that we don't typically approve things as a precedent. This was part of a design that went through a rather lengthy review process with multiple agencies, and it was deemed to be appropriate. So if somebody else had a similar situation and they wanted to propose this, it wouldn't be something that would just be approved because of precedent.
Thank you. Based on the conditional use approval and the ARC support, I recommend to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Carson. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Lupin, second. All those in favor? Raise your hands, everyone. Great. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Also, we should let the record show that Commissioner King has arrived.
Thank you, and that he voted in the last. Yes, thank you. Last application. Okay, item C, 3028 Dauphine Street. Is the applicant present? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Bridget Johnson. I'm with Martha Pearson Design. We submitted the design for the fence. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Great. Can you say your address as well?
Oh yeah, sorry, 2115 Magazine Street. Sorry.
Thank you. The staff will make their application and we'll hear your comments following.
This is an application to request to install a 7-foot-tall fence at the front property line of a contributing rated 2-story, 2-family residential building. FEMA survey estimates that 3029 Dauphine Street was constructed in between 1920 and 1930. However, the building first appears on the 1937 fire insurance map. The applicant is requesting to install a 7-foot-tall fence at the front property line. The guidelines state that a metal picket fence located within the front yard cannot exceed 5 feet in height, including with the chain wall. If installing a metal fence, the pickets should be solid, punched through a horizontal bar while the pickets welded onto the bar are not permitted. The guidelines further emphasize that fences, walls, and gates should be historically consistent in style with the type and style of the main building, and should maintain a height and front yard property line setbacks that are consistent with the adjacent fences to preserve the neighborhood's character, streetscape consistency. In this case, the property is a residential structure, and the front yard fence is a highly visible element that plays a significant role in the overall aesthetic of the building and the surrounding historic neighborhood. A 7-foot-tall fence on the front property line would be visibly prominent and inconsistent with the established pattern of the front yard. While staff understands the applicant's desire for increased security, the proposed fence and design would negatively impact the visual consistency of the streetscape and is not in keeping with the intent of the HDLC guidelines for front yard treatment. For this reason, staff recommends denial of the proposed fence site.
Thank you. To the applicant, you have 2 minutes to address the commission.
Okay, thank you. So I will speak to kind of the middle section of what was being said in terms of the visibility and the overall aesthetic of the surrounding neighborhood. I think in this instance, the context is very important. If you look at this block, these 2 residences are the only ones facing on this side of the street. They're also set back next to 2 commercial buildings. So that in itself, those buildings are right on the front property line, and this fence would just be a continuation of that front property face. The fence that we designed is in keeping with the guidelines. You'll be able to see through it. It's appropriate. It matches many others that are there. It's 7 feet, yes, but all other ways it matches the guidelines. I would say, like, understand that, you know, precedent matters. This building, these two houses are kind of the exception on this block. Across the street is a church and a school. The other homes on that side of the street are also on the sidewalk, so, and there is a fence on the sidewalk on that side as well. The only buildings set back are commercial, so I feel like we feel that this would be in keeping and not at all take away from the general, like the consistency on that block specifically. You know, in addition to obviously providing security, which we feel the 7 foot would be necessary for, just the location of it wouldn't detract from what is already there.
Thank you for your comments. I have speakers cards from Bridget Johnson, correct? But Martha Pearson Designs.
Yeah.
I have a shared.
It's just me.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Ben Jacobson, if you wish to speak. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ben Jacobson, 2318 Octavia Street. Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you all for y'all's service. I'm one of the building owners of this property. And just a little bit about our company. We do a lot of historic tax credit renovations and generally always want to keep the integrity of historic structures intact. For this particular property, unfortunately, we have had continuous issues with vagrants coming on the porch, breaking in the house. They've stole on multiple occasions over $10,000 worth of tools and equipment and furniture inside the house. They have jumped over. There's a fence to the left that they continuously jump over. Look, if there was another solution that would work, that I thought would be workable and keep people out, I'm open to it. I don't think 5 feet works because they're already jumping over an existing 5-foot fence. And look, we just completed a historic tax credit renovation project on this building and have brought it from a dilapidated state, probably for the last 15 or 20 years, to something that is going to be approved by SHPO and MPS. I mean, we probably spent probably $1 million renovating this place. And I would just say that it's very hard as a developer in the city to invest this kind of money into a property and only to have continuous vagrants living, hanging out on the porch, breaking in. It just makes it very difficult to justify investing in this neighborhood. So I understand and I respect the historic character of that block. I would also just reiterate the fact that it is actually a commercially zoned property, so I think maybe that is something. And then across the street, the church, I've talked to the church. They had the same issues with people stealing things, including copper gutters, and they put up a 7-foot fence and they haven't had problems. So again, I appreciate y'all's consideration, understand that it's not an easy.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment on this application? No additional public comment, commissioners?
Just a question for staff. This didn't go to ARC because it's just a fence, right?
Thank you.
It wouldn't be the first time we've addressed or allowed some exceptions to the guidelines for security. I think that seems like a real issue here, but I will say that architecturally, I also don't find it too objectionable, partly because it's a raised home and doesn't obscure the historic portion of the home, the architectural features of the upper portion, and the scale of the block. So based on that, I would make a motion to allow the 7-foot fence.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Carson, with a second by Commissioner Hackenberg. Any further discussion on the motion?
I would just like to point out the street views on this are pretty telling. When you see that this is essentially commercial buildings on a 0 lot line on either side of it for the rest of the block, and this one structure is sort of the odd one out. And I agree with Commissioner Carson that being a raised basement, the fence would not obscure the facade.
Thank you for those comments. Okay, with that, all those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. New business demolition applications, item A, 2037 to 39 La Perouse Street. Is the applicant present? Yes. Wonderful. Please step forward and state your name for the record. Thank you. State your name and address, please.
Jocelyn Williams, 2037 La Perouse Street.
Thank you.
This is the application for the demolition of a contributed rated one-story single-family residential building and a separate non-contributing rated one-story commercial building to grade in the Esplanade Ridge Partial Control Historic District. This was deferred at last month's meeting, and it was originally heard at the commission in July of 2022. FEMA research indicates that the main commercial building, originally 2037 to 29 La Perouse Street, was constructed in 1950 outside the period of significance for the Esplanade Ridge District. This building is not historic or contextually appropriate for the area. The rest of the report will be for the contributing building, which was constructed between 1920 and 1930, originally was 1610 North Galvez Street. It was connected to the larger structure sometime after 1950. The single shotgun's architectural detailing has been altered or concealed over the years. All of the window openings appear to be in its original size and locations, but have been sealed off from the interior. The left-hand side of the building is clad in wood weatherboards, but the front facade has been brick-faced to match the non-contributing commercial portion of the building. An interior and exterior visual inspection of the historic shotgun portion was taken on April 23rd of 2026. The interior of the building has changed very little since the prior demolition inspection of July 2022, which found the shotgun in good condition. At the interior of the original footprint, there's no evidence of water intrusion on the ceiling, walls, or floors of the space. All of the interior transverse walls have been removed. There is some deflection of the floor at locations which uniformly cross the full width of the flooring system. For the exterior, the building is typically the typical wood frame construction on concrete masonry piers, and the rear shed addition, which is also noted in the applicant's photos, is in very poor condition, and we would recommend approval of that removal. When the full demolition request was first submitted to the HDLC, we recommended exploring alternatives to demolition of the historic portion of the structure. However, these have not been pursued. Given that and the consideration that it's largely unchanged since 2022, HDLC staff recommends that the commission uphold its previous motion to approve the demolition of the commercial structure and deny the demolition of the shotgun structure.
Thank you. So the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, please.
Wonderful. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Today we are requesting approval to demolish the entirety of the structure located at 2039 La Perouse Street. While the current application has focused on the portion of the building facing North Galvez Street, the evidence demonstrates that this is not truly a separate structure, but a part of a single building with a compromised roof system and interconnected structural components. Demolishing only a portion of the building would leave an unsafe and impractical remnant that does not reflect how the property exists in reality or how it is recognized by the city of New Orleans. We have owned this property over 50 years, and the city of New Orleans assessed and tax the property as a single parcel and a single improvement. I have sent photographs of the tax bills to show for the last 50 years we have been paying taxes as one structure. Respectively, the issue is not whether a small portion of the structure remains standing. The issue is whether that remaining portion can function as an independent, safe, viable structure after the majority of the building is removed. The building was constructed as one structure and we have used it as one structure for the last 40 years. I appreciate your support, and I'm asking that you would consider that we demolish the structure and that we wouldn't have to go through any more expense of trying to renovate, restore the single unit at 1610 North Galvez. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I have an additional speaker's card. Or no, I believe this is you. Is this correct? Sorry, just reading through these. Is there any additional public comment on this application? No additional public comment? Commissioners? This is an Esplanade Ridge partial control.
I guess just to start the conversation a little bit, I recognize the speaker's point about that it has been taxed and used as a single building, but as an agency here, certainly this shotgun structure was its own structure at some point. So I think we have good reason to kind of consider it on its own merits. Now, that's not to say it has to function that way. There might be an addition that might be possible after the demolition is done of the non-contributing portion. So that's just one point. The other point I want to bring up is just that clearly a lot is intact, the stoop, the structure, but a lot is also obscured. The roof is clearly compromised by the vegetation and in the inspection report with water damage. So I'm a little curious that when sheetrock comes off the interior of this building, do we see a structural frame intact? So that's maybe for the commission to consider, but I would, before I could approve any kind of demolition on this, I would want to see more of the structure uncovered to determine if it's really merited, justifiable.
I'm reading the case history on this one, and I do remember this one when it was previously presented. Can the staff just speak to the inspection report that we received and amount of visibility we had into the building?
Yeah, so the HDLC inspector did do an interior and exterior inspection. What they found in the interior was no water damage except for in the rear, and that it was very likely through some of the photos that the original wood cladding is still behind the brick, and then that the two buildings, are truly separate. So we believe when the non-contributing section comes off, the framing of the shotgun would be self-sufficient as a standalone structure again.
Thank you.
The inspector is out of town right now, so he can't speak to these issues firsthand. I do agree with Commissioner Carson that if the non-contributing portion were approved for demolition and that were removed, we would be able to have a better understanding of the conditions of that wall. I think it speaks a lot that the inspector did not find water damage, but it's still, because of the way those two buildings are conjoined, it's hard to completely know.
Yeah, fair enough. And I'm just reading, so I can go on the inspection report, right? The inspection report says there was evidence of water intrusion. Rain was dripping into the building through the ceiling. The floor was soft in many locations. That would be indicative of structural failure of some of the floor elements. There was evidence of rodents. Clearly, vegetation on the roof has compromised the roof significantly. The brick is obscuring the siding to the point where we don't know the condition of all that. I just think that all adds up. That's a lot to restore, and a lot that we're banking on is still maybe in there, but we don't really know. And I'm going on the photographs too that show that ceilings have been dropped and sheetrock has been added to the point where it's pretty hard to tell just from the interior what's going on. So obviously our job here is to preserve structures, but there's a lot of reasons to believe this is compromised from what I can read.
The water intrusion is for the commercial building. The shotgun does say there's no signs of water intrusion in the inspection.
Thank you for that.
Can I ask a question of the applicant? When was the last, is this does not appear to be currently in use.
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
The buildings do not appear to currently be in use, is that correct?
That's correct.
When was the last time they were in use?
Over 20 years after, prior to Katrina.
Thank you.
Just one more question, please. Have you tried to take the vegetation off the roof? I know you guys applied in 22, but have you done any work at the building?
Yes, we tried, and the company said that the roof was compromised and they would be afraid they would fall through it trying to take that vegetation off of the roof, and that they would not take the job.
Thank you.
I've tried 2 companies, in fact, and they're telling me the same thing, that it's too risky for the health of their workers.
Thank you.
I'm looking at this with case history as well, sorry. I can't vote on this motion, so I'm looking to other commissioners on this. I know that we did vote in 2022, and again, just in reviewing this in terms of it being, there's no motion on this property as is currently, so I guess that's the other just item to consider. Commissioner Lupin, Commissioner Green, looking if there's any other commissioners who wish to make comments on this.
Just, in looking at this, and I know we hate to lose things, but if we ask these people to tear down the front commercial section, it's going to require probably substantial work to then stabilize the existing roof, pulling the vegetation off, stabilizing that piece, and I think it's so small, it's just not a viable project for anybody to actually do. I mean, I would like to say, yes, we should save this small building, but the reality is if it hasn't been renovated in 20 years, and it's hard for me to imagine the current owners actually doing that, which is not to necessarily give them a pass on not taking care of their building, but there's obviously an economic issue going on here with the renovation of this, and it's hard for me to kind of assess the current owners the burden of trying to make this right at this point, or so it seems. So with that, I would make a motion to approve the demolition of the building.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lupin and a second by Commissioner King. And can you just clarify the motion that is to demolish both buildings?
Demolish both buildings.
The non-contributing and the contributing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further, I should ask too, is there any additional public comment on this property? No additional public comment. Any further discussion amongst commissioners? We have a motion on the floor in a second. Okay, all those in favor? Everyone's hands up if you're in favor. All of those opposed? I will vote with the majority, as I always do. Do you need to take roll call, or you feel you've received, you got everyone's? Okay, great. Okay, so with that, the demolition of the property has been approved, and good luck with your project. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. New business demolition applications, item A, 2131 to 33 Pine Street. Is the applicant present? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Summer Fiedler, 6118 Duplessis Street.
Thank you. Staff will make their presentation and we'll hear your comments following.
This is the application for the demolition through raising, removal of over 50% of the roof and exterior wall structure, and removal of over 25% of the historic materials on the primary facade, at a contributed rated raised basement two-family residential building in the Uptown Partial Control District. According to the Building Index of New Orleans Architecture, Volume 3, the University section, 2131 to 33 Pine Street was constructed in 1914 within the period of significance of the Uptown Local Historic District. The raised one-story bungalow is a well-preserved example of its style with its original features, such as the screen porch, the low-pitched roof gable with exposed rafters, the multi-attic light windows largely intact. A pair of tapered brick pedestals support short tapered wood columns supporting a wood beam spanning the screen porch. The multi-light entry door and side lights are approached by wide concrete steps flanked by the brick cheek walls and a raised landing. Within the Partial Control Historic District, the HDLC only has jurisdiction over demolitions, and in doing so, evaluates proposed renovations based on 4 criteria. The alterations to the building exceed the allowable limits on all 4 criteria, and therefore the HDLC considers this proposal a de facto full demolition. Of the 4 criteria, number 1 is the removal of more than 50% of the exterior wall area. The proposal requests removing 59% of the existing exterior wall area, including the complete removal of the right side elevation. While the HDLC could approve a modest side addition setback from the front wall, which is indicative of the bungalow style, extending the front elevation as currently proposed compromises the balanced symmetry that characterizes the front facade. Number 2, the removal of more than 50% of the roof structure. The proposal requests removing 69% of the existing roof structure for a new shed dormer to convert the attic into living space. While this approach has been used at neighboring buildings, the new rooftop addition as proposed is awkwardly attempting to correct the symmetry imbalance created by extending the right side hand of the building. The new proposed shed roof also destroys the valley connecting the front gable to the main roof form, which is highly visible from Sycamore Street. HDLC staff recommends that the new shed dormer should be centered with the existing footprint of the building and set back from the front gable roof. Number 3, removing more than 25% of the historic materials on a primary facade. This proposal seeks to modify the front facade in 2 ways, 1 at the main floor level and 2 at the raised basement. At the main entry, the proposal removes the porch screening indicative of the bungalow style and demolishes the existing recessed portion of the front wall. While the existing multi-light doors and side lights could be salvaged and reinstalled, bringing the front wall into alignment with the rest of the facade destroys its original form and massing of the building and de-emphasizes the front porch, which is a major feature of bungalow homes. In addition, the proposed plan requires the demolition of historic materials of the raised basement. In the raised bungalow style, the connection of the raised front porch to the ground plane is a significant experiential feature of the building, and this proposal seeks to demolish the entry steps. While some of the materials, such as the decorative wood features on the left-hand side of the front facade, could be salvaged and reinstalled, the proportion of it to its surrounding wall area is compromised once the building is raised. More importantly, the tapered brick pedestal will either be lost or clumsily extended at its height to increase the base as it is rebuilt. And then lastly, number 4, raising the building to create habitable space. While the ground floor of the building was previously subdivided into rentable living space, it is not code compliant. Currently, the clear ceiling height is approximately 6'9", 3 inches short of the required 7-foot clearance. Additionally, the ground floor is at a grade and will need to be raised above the base flood elevation to be safely inhabited. The current proposal creates a 9-foot ceiling height, which is 2 feet higher than the required minimum. This increase has significant impacts on the massing of the building, the proportional relationship of its existing four-part multi-light window within a field of surrounding brick cladding, and the destruction of the historic materials noted in the previous section. For HDLC to consider the raising of the building, more care is required to minimally impact the building's relationship to the ground and minimize the removal of character-defining historic materials. HDLC has explained to the homeowner on several occasions our concerns with the proposal and suggested options to explore with the architect without any effect. For all the aforementioned reasons, the HDLC strongly recommends that the Commission deny the request to demolish 2131 to 33 Pine Street.
Thank you. The applicant, do you wish to address the Commission?
Yes. I think if anything's clear from some of the previous people who've come up today is that many of these cases have kind of emotional stories, this emotional chargedness that's attached to their property, and that renovating historical homes definitely comes with additional expenses compared to building new construction where these limitations may not necessarily be intact. Our primary intent for this is to raise the house and to add additional square footage to it. We can appreciate the commission's concern specifically around, changing the front characteristics due to raising the house, but I feel like historic preservation and responsible modernization are not opposites. This house did flood during Hurricane Katrina. My family and I were living in it. We lost everything. We are basically suggesting that by not raising the property, future families will be responsible for dealing with that instead of taking responsibility now and fixing it for the future. We've also looked to see that within each of these individual line items, if you will, that are being proposed with the house, that the HDLC has approved these cases, whether in pairs or individually. And so the combination of them, in my mind, does not make them irrefutable, if you will. Lastly, with the remaining time I have, I think if you reframe the opportunity here of what we're proposing, if you take out the request to remove it and exclude that from the calculations, you'll see, I wonder if the rest of the renovations will actually meet the HDLC requirements.
Thank you. I'm going to call up, I have 4 speakers cards. Gary Sachet, is that correct? Sachet?
Mary Shockey.
Yes, I have that one too.
Mary Shockey.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting me speak and for the work you all do. And I just want to go on.
Your address for the record.
2119 Pine Street. I'm the owner of the house and I live downstairs. And in our block, most of the houses are owner occupied, even if there's a rental in them, with 2 exceptions, and we have problems with those, but that's a different group. Our neighborhood is historic. It's a quiet neighborhood. Parking is an issue if too many people live on any property, and the changes to this property are making it into a much bigger house than it is. And I know on one side, the porch goes past the 3-foot requirement to be of the property line. And, New Orleans is made up of neighborhoods, and it's the neighborhoods that make our culture what it is. And little by little, things are encroaching into the neighborhoods, changing the neighborhoods, and I'm not opposed to renovating and modernizing and updating, but to take up every bit of space on a piece of property infringes on and changes the makeup of the other neighbors. And so I think that's all I have to say. Thank you. Oh, and one other thing. I don't know if the plan is to cut the sycamore tree down, because it looks like there's a driveway that's going to go there. And I really hate to see any tree cut down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. That was great. I also have a Gary, who I clearly can't pronounce your last name correctly. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. My name is Gary Sheets.
Wonderful. Thank you.
2124 Pine Street, catty corner across the street from the property under consideration. I want to echo what Shelley said, that the continuity of the neighborhood will be altered significantly if this plan is allowed to go through. I mean, the number of habitable rooms in the house under the current plan will go to 8, I believe. 4 up, 4 down, and basically what it'll allow for student rentals, and it's going to turn it into a basically a doubles to dorms situation. We already have one of those on the block, and we don't need another. I know that might not be the bailiwick of this particular body, but I want to get it on the record. And regarding the sycamore tree, it's an enormous tree. It's a beautiful tree, and if to put another driveway on the property, you would have to take it out, and it would just kind of ruin the aesthetic of our neighborhood. And then the height of the property that is proposed would also be a detriment and be a shield, and just is not really wanted by our neighborhood. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, handwriting today, everyone. Okay, is it Warren? Is that the next? Apologies, Jacobson.
Hi, Warren Jacobson, 2127 Pine
Thank
Street.
you.
I apologize for my poor handwriting.
Great.
In addition to what my neighbors have indicated, the current property has a porch that goes all the way and touches the house on Sycamore Street. The new proposal also is looking for another porch that will touch the property line that touches my property, which is 2127 Pine Street, as the HDLC mentioned. This home is already the biggest on the block in terms of building size, and they want to make it massive. So it will overmass the rest of the neighborhood, it'll overmass the property, and it will require the removal of the tree, regardless of what the drawing may state. It looked to me like, and I'm not an architect, but it looked to me like the tree is indicated on the plans in the wrong place or the wrong size, because that tree it's a very large sycamore, as the other neighbors have stated. Beyond that, we do have solar panels. I know that this isn't part of the HDLC's main driver, but the height, increasing the height will block sunlight, and the porch will be quite literally in my kitchen window because it's 18 inches away. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Susan Johnson, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Susan Johnson, 2822 LePage Street, Town of Carrollton Watch. I'm not paid to be here. I'm a native of the neighborhood. I'm a local watch on historic preservation and doubles to dorms. I ask the commission to accept the staff recommendation and deny this demolition. Design issues have just been presented in the reading of the report. I just want to emphasize that the Uptown Historic District was named to the National Register in 1985, and the HDLC local districting in 2016. The neighborhood fought hard for historic districting in the first place, so it's distressing in this case to hear that the developers have mostly ignored those staff recommendations in proposing such a radical change to the house, whose style is a well-preserved stylistic type, whose style is a well-preserved type, as the report notes. Finally, the neighbors are opposed to this project. And it's worth pointing out that, excuse me, it's these neighbors, long-term neighbors, who will have to live with the design day in and day out. They deserve consideration. The neighborhood, generally, the city opted for historic guidelines. They should be applied. Please deny. Thank you.
Thank you. Marinelle Nolan Wheatley.
Good afternoon. Marinelle Nolan Wheatley with the Preservation Resource Center at 923 Chapatula Street. The PRC agrees with the staff report that the alterations proposed for this 1914 craftsman-style bungalow are so extreme that the building would become unrecognizable. As the staff report notes, the building is included in the notable New Orleans Architecture Series, Volume 3, the University Section book, and lists under the builder as Alexander Smith, who was responsible for the construction of numerous residences in the area, making this building an excellent example of its type and style uptown. The proportion, scale, and details of the existing building, which are compatible with the surrounding historic neighborhood, would be obliterated by de facto demolition and result in a significant change to the streetscape. Historic buildings are enlarged and modernized all the time in ways that maintain the historic integrity of the building and neighborhood. We urge the owner to listen to the many concerns of the neighbors and the HDLC staff, and to adjust their plans to work within the HDLC guidelines. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this application? There's no additional public comment. I want to thank the staff for a very clear and thorough report on this application. I think it's very helpful to have it enumerated in the way that it was and to walk through that, so thank you for that. I also just want to remind everyone what we review. So this is in uptown partial control. So we review the demolition of this property only. We do not review what goes back in its place. So this project does not go through the same review it does for a full control district, as in it does not go to the Architectural Review Committee for what goes back. We do not have jurisdiction over trees and plants at this commission, just to note. And we do not review zoning. I just want to make that clear to everyone on the record. That is a different department that reviews that. We do review by the guidelines. We do not review emotionally. I just would like to clarify that. But we do review by the guidelines every application. So with that, I just want to make sure that was clear for the public watching this, for the comments that we received, that we acknowledge that as we continue our review. So with that, commissioners, this is in Uptown. Commissioner Lupin.
I'm going to move to support the staff's recommendation to deny the demolitions associated with this project.
Thank you. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Ashby seconds. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. You have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing, and the staff will furnish you with the details of that appeals process. And good luck. Thank you all. Item B, 2663 Iberville Street and 206 to 210 North Broad Street. Is the applicant present? Please step forward and state your name for the address. And the address. Apologies, we have lots of speakers cards today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carla Turnage. My address is 6443 General Diaz,
Great.
New Orleans.
We'll hear the staff's comments and then the staff report, and we'll hear comments following.
All right. This is the demolition application of a contributed rated raised basement single-family residential building to grade in the Mid-City Partial Control Historic District. FEMA research indicates that the raised bungalow structure was constructed between 1920 and 1930 within the period of significance for the district. The massing and footprint of the building would not be difficult to recreate. However, the detailing and craftsmanship would not compare to a historic building. The building with the jerkin head roof form retains its original detailing, including the arts and crafts stucco and timber front gable. The roof eaves have exposed rafters, and the front facade is supported by the exposed rafters as well. The front facade retains its original 6/2 double-hung windows and an entry door flanked by partial height multi-light sidelights. The full length of the front porch deck and the wood post supports have been lost to time. The building sits on a corner lot, which allows for a unique building typology similar to the contributed rated church directly across the street. While the substantial parking lots on both sides of the street adjacent to this building exist, intact Craftsman double shotguns line Iberville Street in both directions. As a largely intact mixed-use commercial and residential historic structure, the building has a unique opportunity to be an active beacon for the immediate neighborhood. An interior and exterior inspection was performed on April 8th. The modern rear addition is not contributing, was not inspected. HDL staff does not object to the demolition of that portion of the building. The wood-framed bungalow clad in weatherboards and an asphalt shingle roof appears to be in good condition. The floors do exhibit some inflection throughout, requiring some restructuring or reinforcement of the wooden post in the basement. On this issue, the HDLC inspector agrees with the applicant's third-party structural report. However, staff disagrees with the report's conclusion that the deflection warrants full demolition. The wall framing and ceiling joists appear to be in good condition with minor damage to the joists by wood-destroying insects. Necessary repairs to the exterior of the building include replacing portions of the soffit, restoring missing glazing at some windows, and repairing delaminated stucco at the concrete chain wall along the side elevations. Additionally, the building needs to be painted to prevent further deterioration. Because of no evidence suggests the building structure is beyond rehabilitation, HDL staff recommends the denial of demolition to grade. Furthermore, the HDLC staff encourages the owner to not only make the minor repairs to secure the building envelope, but also implores them to ensure that the windows remain closed to prevent unnecessary exposure to the elements, which is actively contributing to its deteriorating state.
Thank you. Do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, since the inspector has gone out, we did have the structural report done. They do recommend demolition. They walk through the entire structure. We also have secured it on more than one occasion because we do have vagrants trying to break in, taking off layers and layers of plywood, breaking in, living there. And even when my husband was there repairing everything, children on the street were saying, "Don't kidnap me," because they're drug users in the house, and Lord knows what they're trying to do to these children in the neighborhood. You know, my other concern is that there's a Dollar General store right next door to this property. The neighbor on our other side is all for the demolition. We would like to have developers look into it and maybe do something where we could do a commercial at the bottom and maybe put some residential type structures at the top. But as far as the existing structure, we are looking to demolish. We would appreciate the agreement.
Thank you. Is there, I have another speaker's card, Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley.
Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with the Preservation Resource Center at 923 Chapatula Street. We appreciate the staff's careful analysis of this property and just wanted to add, in case it's useful for the owner moving forward, that the building is in a local and a National Register historic district. The benefit of being in a National Register district is that the building, particularly if the plan is an income-producing commercial building, could be eligible for historic tax credits that could offset up to 45% of qualified construction costs. We'd be happy to provide the owner with additional information on using historic tax credits if they are interested and if the demolition is denied. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioners, this is in Mid-City. Is there any additional public comment on this application? Just checking. Okay, no additional public comment. Commissioners, this is in Mid-City.
I would agree with the staff report that this building looks salvageable. The structural report makes many points about the condition of the floor, but we've seen those projects get restored. So based on that, I would make a motion to deny the demolition.
Thank you, Commissioner Karsten. Do we have a second? Commissioner Ashby, seconds. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. You have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing if you wish to do so. Good luck with your project. All right, item C, 2300 Upper Line Street. Is the applicant present? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Perrin. My address is 620 Port Street.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is an application for the demolition of a contributed rated but highly altered one-story single-family residential building to grade in the Uptown Partial Control Historic District. FEMA research indicates that the single-story bungalow was constructed between 1920 and 1930 towards the end of the period of significance for the Uptown Historic District. To further pinpoint the construction date, local newspapers research referenced the property as early as 1939, which is outside the period of significance. The applicant has explored alternatives to demolition. The renovation of the primary structure and demolition of latter at-grade additions was explored. However, zoning restrictions related to the base flood elevation have prompted the request for full demolition. The modest massing and footprint of the building would not be difficult to recreate, however unlikely with the modern living standards and current market expectations. The original massing was highly altered when the front porch was enclosed. The architect also discovered that the roof form was altered while enclosing that said porch, creating an awkward condition that prevents the proper shedding of water. Minimal architectural details are currently visible on the exterior, and it is undetermined if any of the historic materials are concealed under the existing aluminum siding and trim. An interior and exterior inspection took place on January 22nd, 2026, and found the vacant single-story bungalow appeared to be in good condition. HDL staff recommended exploratory demolition, and a supplementary interior visual inspection was performed on February 26th. The additional inspection found the subflooring in poor condition, but rehabilitation was feasible. HDLC staff appreciates the willingness and patience of the applicant to explore opportunities to rehabilitate the structure. The floodplain administration requires that the portions of the building to remain must be raised due to the extensive renovation plans proposed. Unfortunately, a third-party structural engineer found that raising the existing structure is not advisable. They also found that a majority of the structure would need to be sistered or replaced. The architect clarified that the two front rooms, which HDLC typically would require to remain in a partial demolition, are where the structuralness is unsound from roof to foundation. For these aforementioned reasons, the staff recommends no objection to demolition to grade.
Thank you. So the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes. I appreciate the patience and oversight that the Commission's afforded this project. I think we have looked at a variety of different potential designs for incorporating the historic or the existing structure. It was determined after hiring Murray Consultants that to adhere to base flood elevation, that the structure would not have the capacity to be altered in any kind of way without significantly reinforcing the structure on site.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no additional public comment, commissioners, this is in Uptown.
I'm going to move to accept the staff's recommendation and approve the demolition of this property.
Thank you, Commissioner Lupin, seconded by Commissioner King. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. Item D, 7323 Panola Street and 2103 Lower Line has been removed from the agenda. Item E, 6321 to 23 Laurel Street, is the applicant present? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Daniel Zangara, 6107 Magazine Street.
Thank you.
This is the application for the demolition of a non-contributed rated one-story, two-family residential building to grade in the Uptown Partial Control Historic District. FEMA research indicates that the construction of 2321 Laurel Street has been completed between 1965 and 1975, outside the period of significance for the district. The one-story brick veneer, concrete slab-on-grade suburban ranch-style building would be considered inappropriate within its context, as well as flood-prone if constructed today. The low-pitched asphalt shingled hip roof has a projected overhang on the front facade supporting unpainted timber columns. The building's openings consist of metal windows and wood panel entry doors inappropriately modified with glazing. Due to its non-contributing status, the slab-on-grade condition, and that no architectural character defining features are indicative of this Uptown district, staff recommends approval for demolition to grade.
Thank you. The applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
I got no further comments, but I'll answer questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no public comment. Commissioner Lupin?
This is another one on my my walk with my dog every morning, and I'm move to agree with the staff's recommendation and allow for the demolition of this house.
Thank you. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Ashby seconds. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. Item F, 5912 Patton Street. Is the applicant present? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Johnny Beth Bryan for Zach Smith Consulting, 1000 South Norman C. Francis.
Thank you.
This is the application for the demolition of more than 50% of the roof and exterior wall structure of a contributed rated one-story single-family residential building in the Uptown Partial Control District. The building was a craftsman-style single-story shotgun constructed between 1910 and 1920 within the period of significance of the district. The wood frame building on masonry piers retains its original footprint and massing, with a rear addition constructed between 1909 and 1951. Sandboard maps also indicate that the structure was likely moved during that time to be set back further from the street. A side addition was constructed sometime after 1951. The exterior walls are clad in weatherboard siding, and the roof features exposed rafter tails. The front gable has a single multi-light attic window surrounded by wood trim and narrow weatherboard siding. A group of 3 tapered columns on the stuccoed pedestal support a wood beam spanning the front porch that extends across the full elevation. The solid wood panel entry door is likely not original, but is flanked by multi-light sidelights indicative of the craftsman style. The wood-turned wood balusters and handrail is also likely not original. These features are not intended to be modified in this proposal. The applicant, however, does propose demolishing 60% of the roof area and 61% of the exterior wall area to accommodate the construction of a new camelback addition. Because the proposed renovation maintains the original front facade intact, and because the camelback is located at least 2 historic rooms back from the front wall, per our design guidelines, HDL staff does not object to the request for a partial roof and exterior wall demolition.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
We just wish to thank staff for their timely responses and suggestions to help us get to an approvable design.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this application?
Susan Johnson, 2822 LePage Street, Historic New Orleans Neighborhoods. I am not paid to be here. I realize camelbacking is what people do, but I just wanted to say I regret the loss of the original form of this building. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment on this application? Seeing there's no additional public comment. Commissioner Lupin, another one in Uptown?
Yep, and another one on the dog walk. I'm going to move to accept staff's recommendation and approve the partial demolition of this.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Commissioner Carson, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. Item G, 8632 to 36 Cohen Street. Is anyone here for this application? Seeing it's... Oh. I think it's this. Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Reverend Roosevelt Malone Jr., pastor of the Morning Star Baptist Church located at 8632 Cohen Street.
Thank you.
Yes.
The staff will make their presentation and we'll hear your comments following.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the application for the demolition of a contributed but altered grading one-story church building to grade in the Carrollton Partial Control Historic District. HDLC Building Inspector Haley Clune completed an interior and exterior visual inspection of the building on May 21st and determined it to be in fair overall condition. At the exterior, the asphalt shingle roof appears to be in poor condition, with multiple roof patches observed throughout. Window and door openings appear straight, plumb, and square. However, several exterior wood elements, including the soffit, fascia, wood siding, steeple, and ADA ramp, exhibit signs of deterioration due to prolonged weather exposure. The building's foundation, floor framing, and crawl space were not visible due to the applied brick veneer, which likely restricts crawl space airflow and promotes moisture retention, mold, and mildew growth. At the interior, the building is configured in a traditionally church nave layout. The interior has also been substantially modified with contemporary wood paneling installed on the walls and drop ceilings throughout. The mold and mildew were present throughout the building, and several portions of the ceiling were found collapsed on the floor. Some exposed ceiling rafters visible at the interior appeared to be in fair condition. However, signs of moisture damage was present. Overall, the limited exposed area of the church structural components appear to be in fair condition. However, the building has extensively modified and retains few of its original architectural features. In addition, the widespread presence of mold and mildew throughout the structure supports consideration for demolition approval. Additionally, the staff notes the building does not appear to have been previously cited by the Department of Code Enforcement. While the church building retains some elements of its original design as a modest single-story community-based house of worship, it has been substantially altered over the years of both the interior and exterior, and much of its historic building fabric and architectural detailing appears to have been removed, replaced, or concealed. While some aspects of the current condition may be attributable to deferred maintenance, the applied brick veneer also appears to trap moisture and contribute to a long-term water infiltration, mold, and mildew issues. For example, the portions of the floor structure were observed to be soft and spongy underfoot, likely indicating prolonged moisture intrusion and deterioration of underlying structural elements. Additionally, because it was likely that another congregation would purchase and rehabilitate the building for continued church use, any future adaptive reuse would likely require substantial additional alterations and material replacement. Based on these factors, staff has no objection to the request for demolition degrade.
Thank you. Do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, ma'am. We really have been in, I'm kind of full, excuse me for a second. We've tried everything within God's power for us to do some renovating to get things going, but after Katrina, I lost about 70% of my members, and after Ida, I lost just about all of them. So we really could not financially do the things we desired to do. We couldn't keep insurance on the church, things of that nature, and it just was difficult for us to move forward. So we are requesting for the community's sake, that's in a restoring period. We have had break-ins as well. They've taken our unit out the church and different things, our TVs out, all kind of things where thieves and vagabonds just been trying to destroy it. So as painful it is, I'd rather see it torn down if possible, that we may, hopefully in the future, if the Lord's will, maybe we can get some kind of assistance somewhere to maybe do something in the near future as well. But it's painful for me right now to really discuss it, because I have been there for 40-something years. And so unfortunately, that's what happened.
Sorry,
I can't control nature, that's in God's hand. So.
Thank you for your comments. The staff has provided a recommendation of no objection. Are there any additional public comments on this application?
Good evening. I'm Bernadine Malone. My residential 4033 Chicory Place in Harvey, but I'm here in regards to the 863236 Corn Street. I thank you for the opportunity to speak. Just to piggyback off of some of the things that Pastor Malone said, after Hurricane Ida, the few members we did have, the majority of them did not return. We were unable to get the renovations done for the church because we were not financially able. The interior of the church is in bad condition. There's several mold problems. It has been vandalized several times, with the latest incident where they stole the AC unit and they went under and took copper out. The neighbors informed us that they can hear noise behind the church at night and that they even believe drug activity was taking place. One neighbor said they wanted to call the police, but they were afraid to. We tried to get help financially, even inquired about a grant, only to no avail. So we are asking that you would please approve the demolition for 8632 36 Corn Street. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here. I'm going to call, is there any additional public comment on this application? No additional public comment, commissioners. This is in Carrollton.
I would make a motion to accept the staff's recommendations.
Thank you. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Lupin, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. Item H, 538 First Street. Is the applicant present? Item H, 538 First Street. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. The staff will make their presentation and we'll hear your comments following.
Address is 553 Willowbrook Drive in Gretna, Louisiana.
Thank you.
This is an application for the demolition of a contributing rated two-story multi-unit residential building to grade in full control Irish Channel. At the April 4th, 2025 commission hearing, the commission voted to deny the application for demolition to grade, but grant approval of the demolition of the rear two additions. Since that hearing, the owner of the building has passed away and his children have taken possession of the property and are requesting the demolition to grade. Based on Sanborn map and FEMA research, the building was constructed between 1840 and 1850 and first appears on the 1887 Sanborn map within the period of significance for the district. The building retains its original massing and footprint, as well as wood trim and large brick chimneys. However, most of the original wood windows and doors have been removed, though the historic openings appear to be unchanged. A supplemental interior and exterior inspection occurred on May 21st, 2026. Overall, the structure has remained uninhabitable due to the unsecured building envelope. The findings from the second inspection are consistent with the conditions documented during the initial inspection conducted in 2025. The older portion of the building did not appear to have deteriorated since the time of the previous inspection. However, the rear portion, which was previously approved for demolition, is still existing and remains in severely deteriorated state. The previous inspection on March 25th, 2025 found the building to be in poor condition and the rear portion of the building to be in very poor condition. At the exterior, the building had vinyl siding, missing gutters and downspouts, some evidence of termites, and the building appeared to be straight and plumb, and the roof appeared to be in good condition. At the interior, some remediation work had happened, including new sheetrock that was not completed. When the structural members are exposed, there were signs of termites and water intrusion. Areas of the floor were soft and joists appeared compromised. Overall, the inspector found that the building appeared to be salvageable. However, certain areas of the building would need to be completely replaced or reconstructed. The oldest front portion of the building appeared to be in significantly better condition than the rear portions. The rehabilitation of the building, including the demolition of the rear and the majority of the interior, would likely be an expensive undertaking. As the previous commission decision was just over a year ago, staff has left this at the discretion of the commission.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes.
Great. You have 2 minutes.
I wrote it down just so I can stay on course.
Wonderful.
This property has been in my family for generations. It belonged to my grandfather before my father got it, and it holds great significant value. Because of that, the request doesn't come lightly. But it's clear that the structure has pretty much to a point where preservation of any part of it is no longer practical. With the memories associated with the property remains important to my family, the condition of the building itself does not justify the significant investment that would be required to restore it. The delays in reaching this point were the result of family and estate matters following my dad's illnesses and passing, not a lack of concern for the property. Since then, we've worked to move the matter forward through the proper channels. The goal is not to avoid responsibility for the property, but to resolve it responsibly. I'm just asking for full demolition, just so that we are in a position to actually do something positive with the house and not let it be such a bad thing in the neighborhood. My daddy was a pillar in the community. I would not want who he was for that community to end up with this just an eyesore going on for more and more years.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment on this application?
Hello, my name's Thomas Barone. I live at 528 First Street, which is 2 doors away from this property. Over the last couple of years, the property has fallen into disarray. So I moved in February of 2022. I was fortunate enough to know Mr. Foster, and he was certainly a pillar of the neighborhood. But obviously, since his passing and with no one residing on the property, it has fallen into significant disrepair. I have 2 young children, and most recently, about 2 weeks ago, the house was overtaken by squatters, professional squatters who came in, changed the locks, put together a fake lease, and literally would not leave the property until the police came. As a resident of this neighborhood, we also have, I have not spoken to anybody who lives on our block that thinks that this house is worth preserving. And I will tell you, if you look at these pictures, given its size and the size of the lot and multiple access points through other, through other lots in the neighborhood as well, it's only a matter of time before squatters come again. They can recognize this place can easily be broken into, and it's just, the fact that it's in such disrepair as we enter hurricane season, it puts it graver concern because if something were to happen, it could prevent my family from being able to go into our house if there was just some collateral damage. As you can see, these houses are very close together in this neighborhood. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no additional public comment, Commissioners, it's an Irish channel. Commissioner Hackenberg.
Yeah, I see this house quite often, and I was really hoping that something would begin on it in some form. I don't see any change in the condition based on the staff report. I think the front portion could be a nice core of a addition and renovation, and my goal is to see this property back into commerce, and tearing it down just delays that, and it places another empty lot adjacent to one that's already there. So I will repeat the same motion I made a little over a year ago and allow the demolition of the rear portions of the house and the retention of the very front portion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Ashby seconds. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed?
We would need you to vote.
Yeah, I'm aware. I will vote with the majority, as I always do.
Motion passes.
Motion passes, yep. You have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing, and the staff will furnish you with the details of that appeals process. We appreciate you being here, and good luck with the project, and I'm sorry about your father's passing. Thank you. Item I is 2318 Chippewa Street. Is the applicant present? Has staff been in communication with the applicant for this one? 2318?
Yes, and I think we could probably hear this.
I think so too, given it's the staff's recommendation. Okay, thank you.
This is an application for the demolition of a non-contributing rated 2-story multifamily residential building to grade. FEMA research indicates the building was constructed between 1970 and 80 outside of the period of significance. From an exterior inspection, the building was found to be in fair to poor condition. Most of the openings on the facade were boarded, and the one that was not was missing window panes. There was also vegetation and deterioration of the roof shingles present. As the building is non-contributing and out of context with the rest of the block face, staff has no objection to the demolition.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no public comment, commissioners? There's also an Irish channel.
Irish Channel. Yeah, this is an easy one. I will make a motion to approve the demolition.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Commissioner King seconds. All those in favor? Commissioner King, raise your hand. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, and good luck with your project. New business retention applications, item A, 1510 Religious Street. Is the applicant present? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Granville Sims, 725 South Military Road, Slidell, Louisiana.
Thank you.
I would like to read 1510 Religious and 510 Race together, as they are a complex and have similar issues.
Thank you for clarification. So yeah, let's note that we are reading 1510 Religious Street and 510 Race Street together, but we'll call separate motions for each one. Thank you.
1510 Religious is an application for a retention of multiple deteriorated items and MEP systems at a landmark commercial building with work done without a certificate of appropriateness. The Creole Cottage was constructed circa 1843 and is the last remaining cottage of three sister houses. It is also one of the few remaining historic residences of the Cotton Press District. An HDLC demolition by neglect violation and working without permits violations were opened on the property. The following retention items are in response to those. The deteriorated masonry and stucco. The applicant is requesting the retention of the current condition of the masonry and stucco, citing the want to keep the historic look of the deterioration. However, the HDLC guidelines do not allow for maintaining the appearance of delaminated stucco. Further, the brick at this building is soft lake brick and is showing signs of delamination and missing mortar joints. While there is an aesthetic concern regarding the appropriateness of maintaining a deteriorated condition, the main concern from staff is the level of deterioration of the masonry. Best practice would be to repoint all of the failing missing mortar joints and have a new coat of an HDLC-approved stucco applied to all elevations. Further, photos from the 90s into the early 2000s show the building completely encapsulated with stucco. Staff recommends denial of the retention to maintain the current level of deterioration of the masonry and stucco. The deteriorated entry gates. Similar to the masonry, the applicant is requesting retention of the deteriorated metal entry gates at the left and right side of the cottage. The gates are iron and are not only showing a patina, but quite a bit of rust. For the longevity and preservation of the gates, staff would recommend sanding and repainting before the deterioration warrants replacement. Staff recommends denial of the retention. Fluorescent tube uplighting. At the ground level on the left elevation, fluorescent tube uplighting has been installed. These lights do not meet the guidelines for security lights and are large and intrusive. Further, the guidelines do not approve fluorescent tube lighting that is visible from the public right-of-way. Staff recommends denial of the installation of tube lights and recommends HDLC approved security lights or landscape lighting that is not attached to the building. And the mini split. A new visually prominent mini split has been installed at the right elevation, less than 10 feet from the front wall with a highly visible conduit. The guidelines require any new visible mechanical units, including mini splits, on a landmark to be reviewed by the commission. As the mini split and conduit is highly visible and does not meet the guidelines, staff recommends denial of the current location. .510 Race. This is an application for retention of deteriorated masonry at a landmark commercial building without a certificate of appropriateness. The 2.5-story Greek Revival townhouse was constructed in circa 1847 and was part of a larger townhouse complex that was along Race Street and Chop. An HDLC demolition by neglect violation was opened on the property, and the retention is in response to that. The applicant is requesting the retention of the historic condition of the masonry, wanting to keep the historic look of the deterioration. The difference in this one and religious is that this one had two walls that were not previously stuccoed, and we cannot require the right and rear sides to be stuccoed, though best practices would have us recommend it.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, I would like to repoint all the bricks, but not stucco. Perhaps stuccoing in certain areas, much like not like the Lafitte house, the blacksmith shop, but more authentic looking. I agree there has to be a repointing and an addressing of the deterioration, but I don't want to lose the patina of the house, if you will. I've had several comments on how attractive it is, but I don't want the house to deteriorate. And so what I would like to do is repoint thoroughly both houses, including the dependency in the back of Race Street. Regarding the mini split unit, I need to access that alleyway to put all the garbage cans that are needed for the wedding business operation there. And if I had the mini split lowered to the ground level, I would lose my ability to put the trash cans there. I don't have any other place to put them. I would just say that I'm trying to preserve the look and preserve these buildings. I've spent, since I've owned them, about $1.3 million on the houses. And I regard it as myself as a custodian of these houses, and I don't want them to deteriorate. I intend also to do the surround framing around the door, the Greek key door frames that are coming away from the house. I intend to put that correctly again. And I have some other plans for the house, but that's about it.
Thank you. Are there any additional public comments for this application? No additional public comments.
I would like to mention, I don't want to completely cover all these bricks. I know they're soft bricks, but I know that they can be repointed correctly and with the right mortar. And I know how to do it. I just haven't done it yet. I just don't want to stucco over it and make it look like a new house.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Can I just ask one question? Can you clarify how long you've owned this property?
I've owned the cottage since 1978, and I've owned the row house since 2003.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, these are both landmark properties, additionally, so they are not in a district. They are landmarked, which means, just for those that are here, just to clarify, that means that HDLC has full control over anything that touches the exterior of the building. So even more regulations on these properties than in a normal HDLC district, full control.
Meaning line of sight is not your
Not just line of sight. It's the way that I always describe it is if you turn the building upside down, you immerse it in water where everything touches. Anything that touches the air, very similar to what the Vucre Commission's oversight is.
Well, we have the same goal. I want to preserve the houses.
That is wonderful. So, but I do assume that you also know that you're required to get a certificate of appropriateness to do work on these buildings.
I didn't know about yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay, I read that every time, that speech every time at the beginning of a meeting to remind, but you've had these for a long time, and I just want to make sure you're also reminded. We love to not have applications in the retention section because if you file for a certificate of appropriateness, you have the opportunity to work with the staff.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a reminder.
I did, in the beginning, I got 14 certificates of appropriateness to do the two houses.
Great. We will hope you will get some in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Moving forward. Okay. So
I got maybe one question for the applicant. The signage, the remnants of the signage that are on 1510, that's not historic.
It is not. There's Polaroids that I scanned in from 1999 from the original nomination, and it was completely encapsulated. So that signage that's on the outside of the stucco and inside on the brick is not original.
Understood.
Thank you.
That was called a ghost sign. A ghost sign. I've had many movies filmed at these houses.
Okay. Commissioners, who is interested in tackling this one? I'm looking, we had a very similar one actually to this.
Right, so it's kind of fresh in my head from the last time we talked about delaminated stucco.
Yeah.
We don't like to see this. It's pretty, don't get me wrong. It is pretty and very interesting looking, but we don't like to see this false application of history applied to the building. So when you have the signage applied to the brick and the wall, that feels cinematic, not historic, and it starts to paint a picture of what seemingly might have been, but really wasn't the case. So it's telling a false narrative. The other thing is the guidelines want us to protect the bricks. So we know there was stucco on this building originally, so we need that to protect the soft bricks. I understand what you're saying about repointing the bricks, and I'm glad you know how to do that. That's only one aspect. That doesn't protect the bricks, that protects water intrusion between the bricks. But the erosion of the bricks over time will happen without the stucco on there.
How did Feed's blacksmith shop get away with that? It's a terrible job.
Let me ask one other question for the staff. This is before us because mini split work was done, is that right?
Correct.
And then the demolition by neglect, is that piece related to the stucco?
Yes. So that is, the delamination is not considered work without permits. In this case, it is an active deteriorated item. So it has a separate type of violation for that.
So
they're asking retention of a deteriorated item.
Understood. And even if the mini split work wasn't done, that would still be before us.
Correct.
And just one other question on the metal gates. I understand that is it also in the guidelines that would that constitute its own demolition by neglect?
It is. It is currently a demolition by neglect. Anything that is in a state of deterioration.
And the issue with the mini split is not so much the height as it is the setback from the front of the building and its visibility. So we understand, the need to be able to utilize the alleyway. We get into situations also with mini splits that are mounted to historic masonry that could in itself cause further deterioration due to vibration. So just working in the Vicaret, when we have situations like this, although we do often approve them, we sometimes request an engineering report so we can understand the integrity of the masonry, how it's connected, just so we can make sure to head off something that is going to lead to further deterioration if that's a problem.
That makes sense. And if it were lowered, it might have a zoning issue too, because there's certain requirements of mini splits distance to the property line as well. So I'm reluctant to approve that one either, both due to visibility and that we also, because it was work done without a permit, we can't necessarily approve it. It might even be too close to the property line right now. I don't know.
We could recommend a deferral for that item and express some of these concerns and have that addressed and bring it back while dealing with the demolition by neglect issues separately.
I think the merit of that approach would be just that any location on that wall, even if it's within that first 10 feet, is pretty visible. So even if it goes back 5 more feet, it might not significantly improve the condition. So I guess I've talked a lot. I make a motion to deny the retention of the delaminated stucco and the condition of the metal fencing and the lighting, and to defer the mini split item, giving the applicant more time to work with the staff on and get a permit for that work.
But can I just, I'll second it. However, what I'll point out is that if we reject the location of the mini split, he has to do that anyway. I mean, he has to apply for a position and go through the staff and ARC about where that mini split is going to go anyway.
Or he could appeal that to city council and get to retain it. It seems like a deferral would give everybody an opportunity to potentially find a better solution without it going to council for them to decide.
Okay, fine. I don't change anything.
Okay, so just to clarify, this is a motion on the floor for application A under new business retention applications 1510 Religious Street, correct? So motion on the floor. Do we have a second to that motion?
I second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lupin. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can do a motion on item B, 510 Race Street as well.
I would make the same motion or similar motion to deny the retention of deteriorated masonry and stucco.
Thank you. And forgive me, I'm going to make, I need to just call for public comment given that's a different application. Is there any additional public comment on that application? Okay, no additional public comment. Motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Commissioner Lupin, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Mr. Sims, sorry, both applications are so intertwined. We're reviewing them both together, but we've denied the application, the stucco, as you've noted, the retention of the masonry and stucco entry gate and uplighting, and deferred the mini split to allow you to work with staff on that for 1510 Religious Street and for 510 Race Street, very similarly without the mini split. So
I just want to understand what I'm required to do with deteriorating stucco. Which walls are we talking about, and to what extent?
the staff will work with you and give you very clear direction on what to do with that. If you wish to appeal both of those decisions or one of those decisions, you do have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing. We would hope you would work with the staff to restore both of these landmark buildings.
I will.
Thank you. All right, wonderful. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C is 906 Phillips Street. Is the applicant present? Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Charles Anderson, 906 Phillips Street.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
This is an application for the retention of unpainted front porch columns and uplighting at a contributing rated one-story single-family residential building without a C of A in full control Irish channel. A site inspection on April 9th showed that the work without permits had occurred at the property. The owner is requesting retention of the unpainted, stained front porch columns and the uplighting installed directly below the columns. The guidelines are clear on paint requirements and states that stain should be limited to exterior front doors where appropriate for the style. All other exterior woodwork must be painted with an opaque paint. This is required not only to replicate the historic look of the building, but for weather and exposure protection as well. As such, staff recommends denial of the retention of the stained columns. The HDLC also does not approve uplighting directed at the facade of any buildings, as it alters the perception of architectural features and contributes to light spill into the sky. Further, the light fixtures installed at this building are large and intrusive. If ambient light on the front porch is needed, staff would recommend installing recessed can lights behind the existing decorative soffit vents. As the guidelines do not approve uplighting and there are alternatives, staff recommends denial of the light fixtures.
Thank you. So the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, please. I have letters of support. I don't know if those are, I can give them to you guys. All my neighbors wrote letters supporting me. That's useful?
They are typically submitted prior to this meeting.
Well, it's weird because I actually got cited for adding brick, and then these were secondary things, so I didn't actually have an application for this, so I never got a chance to submit any paperwork or anything for this.
You can submit them to the staff, and yeah.
Okay. So the columns, they're 140-year-old cypress, which is typically used and rot resistant. I'm also using a stain that's better than paint. I have the safety sheets showing the recommendations for this that I like to use. So based on Chapter 6 of the HDLC guidelines, I think that what I'm using is actually better and more effective than paint. It's got mildewcide, it's a penetrative finish that's better than paint and will keep the columns looking better longer. I also repaint them every year. I have pictures showing I think they look very good. And as far as the uplighting goes, there is nothing in the guidelines that specifically states you can't do uplighting. It just says no fluorescent lighting or floodlights, and I have neither of those. Uplighting is not listed in the prohibited categories, and I was hoping that I could work with you guys to get those approved because I think it really adds to the look of the house. We spent a lot of money bringing this house back to Victorian standards. Almost all our neighbors love our house. They constantly comment on it, and it would be a real shame if we had to change any of these things. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder, apologies, you're in the retention section, so I like to remind everyone.
I will say we did a camelback last year, and these were never brought up. So this is a new thing to us. We didn't even know that this was an issue. The house has been inspected. These were never brought up before. This is a new thing that we were quite surprised that we got a letter about.
Okay, so to help you with the surprise part, you are located in Irish Channel in a full control historic district. So if you do,
we did. We had permits for all the stuff, and it was people have been over at the house. This has never been cited before.
Was that work completed at the time that you did the camelback at the inspection? I'll ask the staff on that one.
Yeah.
Yes, these items were found during that final inspection.
Great, and they were noted at that time.
Oh, no, the final inspection, these were not cited at all. This was last year.
Do you mind?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you wait for just a moment so I can ask the staff?
I apologize. These may have been found on just a routine site inspection, but they would have been done after the initial final then.
Yes, it looks like the staff report is noting that they are found on a site inspection on April 9th, 2026.
Correct.
I want to remind the applicant to avoid being here at all and clarifying any questions you have on our guidelines. You need to work with the staff and get a certificate.
We did, and it was
let me finish
approved.
what I'm saying. And get a certificate of appropriateness or a C of A, which you did not get for these items.
It's part of the camelback process. This was cited in the architectural plans. It was approved.
But it was not completed at the time of the inspection?
It was last year when the house was finished, when we inspected it. All this stuff was gone over. That's why I'm surprised that this has happened.
I don't know. We'd be happy to defer this and take a look at approved plans.
I'd like to defer this and look at it to make sure we're absolutely clear on that for discussion. Okay. So just to note, we are, I'm sorry, I can't make the motion, commissioners.
Make a motion to defer for 30 days.
Thank you. Motion to defer for 30 days to clarify timeline on when this work was done and give further clarification on that. Thank you, Commissioner Lupin. Do we have a second to that? Commissioner King? All those in favor? All those opposed? The application is deferred for 30 days. We'll see you back here in 30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item D, 1015 to 17 First Street has been removed from the agenda. Item E, 1463 Pogger Street has been removed from the agenda. Item F, 629 Lizardi Street has been removed from the agenda. And item G, 1136 St. Bernard Avenue, is the applicant present? Great, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. We appreciate everyone's patience. We're making good time. Only a few more applications left.
Hi, Lacey Watring with Archetype, 305 Valette Street.
Thank you.
This is the application for the retention of a side addition at a contributed rated one-story single-family residential building without a certificate of appropriateness. 1136 St. Bernard Avenue is estimated to have been constructed in 1885 according to the FEMA survey, although it does not appear on the fire insurance map until 1950. On June 21st, 2022, a stop work order was posted after an inspector observed unapproved work, including the construction of a new brick porch, modifications to the rear roof line, and construction of an overhang at the side porch without approval. On October 13th, 2022, a certificate of appropriateness was issued after the fact for approval of the side addition with required modifications for compliance with HDLC guidelines. On April 17th, 2025, another certificate of appropriateness was issued with the side addition and with additional required modifications shown as having been addressed. A final inspection was conducted on March 25th, 2026, noting that the overhang and box beam extension had not been removed to align with the gable wall as previously required for compliance with HDLC approval. However, all other modifications have been completed. The proposed work, including the roof modification, porch, and side overhang, remains subordinate to the primary historic structure and does not overwhelm the original building. While the side elevation alterations are visible from the public right-of-way, they are recessed from the primary facade and are compatible with the massing, proportions, and roof form with the existing structure and surrounding context. Staff also acknowledges the applicant's continued willingness to work with the HDLC throughout the review process and efforts made towards compliance. For these reasons, staff recommends approval.
Thank you. So the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
I just want to thank the staff for their thorough review, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any public comment on this application? Okay, seeing as there's no public comment, commissioners, Mrs. Intermay and the staff is recommending approval of the item.
Motion to allow the retention.
Thank you, Commissioner Carson. Seconded by Commissioner Hackenberg. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item H, 700 Webster and 6101 Constance Street. Is the applicant present? Great. No, thank you. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, am I on? My name is Gigi Davizzi, 700 Webster Street.
Can you say that one more time?
Gigi Davizzi, 700 Webster Street.
Thank you. Yeah, you'll pull the mic down. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
This is an application for the retention of the demolition of over 25% of the historic materials on the primary facade of a contributed rated raised basement single-family residential building in the Uptown Partial Control District. 700 Webster Street was constructed between 1920 and 1930 within the period of significance of the Uptown Local Historic District. The building is a raised basement wood frame building that sits on masonry and concrete chain walls without a concrete slab in the basement level. On June 4th of 2025, the Commission voted to deny the application for demolition to grade because the structure is in good condition and much of the original character-defining exterior architectural details remain. Those architectural details include the knee brace brackets and shake shingles at the front gable, the eclectic column capitals, the 6/1 light double hung windows, and a pair of wood entry doors with a transom above. The building changed ownership and renovation drawings were submitted. HDLC staff approved the modifications to the exterior because they were within the allowable limits for demolition set by the design guidelines. Note that while the exterior wall area removed was evaluated, the primary facade calculations were not performed because the drawings clearly noted that no changes to the primary facade are proposed. To be clear, when reviewing raised basement buildings, while the base of the building is obviously counted toward the total area of exterior wall, they are not always considered as part of the primary facade calculation. When the interior area behind the wall is not habitable space and there's no character-defining features of the lower portion of the wall, the primary facade begins at the porch floor level, similar to how buildings on masonry piers are reviewed. A site inspection on May 20th showed that the work was in deviation of the permits had occurred at the property. The owner is requesting attention of the removal of the historic materials from the front facade. This happens in two instances. One, the entry doors and transom. The applicant is requesting retention of new, taller entry doors. While the new wood doors are an in-kind material and a similar style as the original, HDL staff cannot recommend approval because they do not fit within the original opening. To allow for a taller door, the height of the transom was reduced, creating an awkward proportion to a defining feature of the building's facade. Number two, the windows. Previously, the entry doors were flanked by 6/1 double-hung windows, characteristic of the raised bungalow style. The primary facade fenestration consisted of a pair of windows on the right side hand and a single window on the left side. Restoring the symmetry by adding an additional window to the left-hand side would have been accepted by the HDL staff and within the allowable limits for removal of historic material, i.e. removing the weatherboard cladding and wood framing. However, the complete removal of each of the original wood windows and the replacement with a large stationary picture window that is not appropriate for the style of the building would not have been approved by the HDLC. For the aforementioned reasons, HDL staff recommends denial of the retention of the removal of historic materials with an appropriate fine.
Thank you. So the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
I had no idea it was hysterical. We bought it, it had been sitting around for years, and we put a lot of money and effort into making it a viable house for the neighborhood. I think it looks good. I didn't know it was a mistake. I don't have the things to put back in. I don't know what I'd do, and I've already spent a bunch of money. I'm not sure what to do.
You didn't know this was in a historic district? Okay.
I knew the house wasn't able to get torn down, but I didn't know why or anything. I just thought someone wanted the lot to build something new.
Okay. Well, we're welcome to explain.
I mean, I live in the neighborhood. I didn't even know it was historic.
Okay, so we're going to explain it here just so that we're clear. So this project, your building is in going up to the top, you're in Uptown, which is a partial control district, which means all demolition is reviewed by HDLC. Additionally, when you submitted your drawings for renovation, they were reviewed by HDLC, and we have stamped and approved plans. So a little confused as to how you didn't know this was in a historic district.
The architect did it. I didn't know.
Okay, but you're the owner of the property?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So you are
I'm sorry.
responsible.
Yeah.
So those drawings, just to clarify, when you have HDLC stamped drawings for your contractor, they are on site. So the stamped drawings are required to be on site at all times. I'm just clarifying this for anyone watching and for yourself, so that we know that you've learned this information. For future work on this property, you are in an HDLC district that is partial control, so you'll have to get review from HDLC for any work on this property. It is not a full control district, which means we don't review everything that goes back, but we review the portion of demolition, which the staff has outlined. You are in deviation of on the drawings that you submitted and are stamped and reviewed, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So with that, I have a number of speakers cards. I'm going to go ahead and start calling those folks as well, and we're going to hear all comments before we have discussion on this. Paul Bell.
Do I stay or do I leave? What happens?
If you'll just step to the side for a moment, we're going to let it appears to be neighbors potentially talking.
Yeah, Paul Bell. I live in a neighborhood on Magazine Estate. I've been renovating houses since I was 15. I'm 70 years old. I only work on ancient New Orleans homes. I love these old houses, and I've watched them be deteriorated by people who buy these old houses and think they can do whatever they want with them. This is the heritage we have to leave for our children and our children's children. It's not right for them to change it in any way they want and say, oh, but the neighbors think it's pretty. It's not about the neighbors think it's pretty. It's about the history of the building. And I've had friends who are contractors say, oh, you know what, it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission. And I think this is an exact example of that. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. I'm sorry, I didn't know it happened. You had an architect. Architect allowed you to put those windows into that place and put the transom down to this little peephole. It's just not right. It doesn't fit the building. I believe they should be fined as much as possible. I think it should be required to put the original windows back in the building and the original doors back in the building, or have them milled and put back. But I don't think they should be allowed to leave those windows in that historic home because they do not fit at all.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Mary Fanning. Is it Horace? I'm sorry, forgive me here. Horace? Like looking for some easy ones today here. Mary Fanning.
Mary Fanning Horst.
Thank you so much.
6016 Annunciation Street.
Thank you.
I have lived at that address and been connected to my address since I was 15 months old. I'm 75 and a half. I was in the spotlight as a neighborhood person. My mom has a key to the city. My grandfather put up Chuck Morrison. I mean, real deep history in this city. What I want to say is that I am very concerned about the process. This person comes here and says, I didn't know. No, they had plans. The architect knew they had plans. They did not abide by what were in those plans and put these things up. I've already made comment. They look like they belong in a tract house in Bissonnet Plaza from the 1960s. They do not fit this architecture at all. And to come here and infer that it's okay, it's just not. I want to go back. I looked at the notes from last year. Now, it was a different owner, but the idea has me concerned. The applicant, because they were looking at the property,
on site during the inspection explained that the application was submitted with the intention of appealing a denial by the HDLC to the New Orleans City Council to secure approval for demolition. Now, whether it's this or a whole thing, word is out, and I'm very concerned about the process. There was an understanding described by the applicant that this is standard procedure by which the private sector should follow easily when it comes to demolition or partial demolition. It's not okay. Then further, this application highlights a troubling pattern of undermining the expertise of the
Apologies, they've cut the microphone. This is, I said, the new feature. I would like to allow extension of time if it's possible.
May I finish this statement?
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
The PRC frequently expresses concern about the precedent that is set when the New Orleans City Council overturns HDLC decisions, which emboldens developers to view rules and regulations as optional. This presents enormous challenges to the HDLC, this body, and its ability to accomplish its mandate to safeguard the heritage of New Orleans by preserving and regulating buildings and districts. That's it. I am very concerned about it. Not just this, but the whole thing. And word is out.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Loretta Hoskins.
Good afternoon. Loretta Hoskins, 6125 Constant Street, and thank you, Commissioners, for hearing my opinions on this project. First, I'd like to point out that there is no 6101 Constant Street. 700 Webster Street is a single-family home that is at the corner of Constance and Webster. I've lived behind the home for nearly 20 years. There's never been a 6101 Constant Street. Secondly, in my opinion, there's been an intentional misrepresentation of the renovation plans of 700 Webster Street by the developers of this property. These are sophisticated developers who set up companies and use those companies to purchase, renovate, and sell homes in the uptown area for enormous profit. They currently have a project at 5108 Laurel Street. At 5108 Laurel Street, they actually got and obtained permission from the HDLC to demolish 22% of the facade of that home. So they do know the rules. They do know how to follow them. In my opinion, they intentionally did not follow that here. So with 700 Webster, they submitted plans saying they weren't going to touch the front facade of this historic 1920s raised cottage home, and they've essentially demolished the entirety of the front facade. There are new windows, there are new doors, there's a new transom. They've also gone ahead and made other changes to the property beyond the plans submitted that are very concerning to me and my neighbors. For example, they've installed an additional exterior ground floor door that is not in the plans. In addition, what's even more shocking, they have built out the unfinished ground floor of the property in areas where the plan said no work was going to be done. So if you look inside the ground floor at this point in time, there's now finished flooring, drywall, electrical, and interior doors where they said no plans would be done. I asked the HDLC to continue its mission and deny this application, and it requires.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Evan Pond. Please state your name and address.
Hi, Evan Pond, 860 Hidalgo, New Orleans, Louisiana. I am speaking to completely oppose this. This is, I want to first thank you guys for your time and thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak. I'm a former Air Force officer. I'm a former construction project manager working on many SHPA buildings, and I am a PMP, project management professional, and I have been since, I think 2007. I've never seen construction practices like the construction practices that are readily available every day at the house that the flipper is at 700 Webster. The construction practices, there's no PPE, There have been instances where the workers have been working on raised platforms where they've literally done like chin-ups to get there, no ladders. I mean, it's just like, there's been ongoing grinding of lead paint with no PPE, no HVAC, no HEPA filtration, no collection methods at all, just releasing large clouds that daily land on the homes on Constant Street. It kind of blows my mind. I know that's not directly within the purview of y'all, but the idea that you would submit plans and the whole idea of requiring plans that a licensed architect, would submit under seal or a civil engineer, and then you would just completely ignore those plans is galling. And it's also completely unsafe. If you're going through and you're removing, essentially, they've actually demolished the entire front of the building, and then...
Please continue time. Susan Johnson is going to cede her time to Evan Pond, please. You'll give 2 more minutes. Thank you.
You're good.
You're good. You should be good.
Oh, I'm on? Sorry. Okay.
Go on.
So, I mean, they've essentially demolished the entire front of the first floor level. None of this was in the plans. They've also changed out the architectural features at the top of the braces of the 2 pillars that they replaced. They also replaced the attic windows. In addition to this, they've done demolition, and like other neighbors have mentioned, they've demolished windows on every side of the house that were not called for in the plans. They've added new doors. They've added bigger doors than the doors that were actually in the plans. They've added additional windows. And I mean, we've had multiple neighbors have had direct conversations with the flippers, Eugenine, Gigi Dabaziz, Trello, and Reggie Reginelli. And every time we talk to them, they claim, oh, we didn't know. Oh, we didn't know that a house before 1978 would have lead paint. Like, you do. It's the law that you need to know. If you're a flipper, it specifically calls out, you have to comply with RRP. The workers, I mean, are clearly not RRP certified. The idea that, at multiple times they have stated that they're just like unaware of what it is. That's not a real excuse. This is somebody that's a flipper buying a house and trying to profit off of this. You can't do work and then not, just make it up as you go along. Because if the whole point of having an HDLC is to protect the history, protect the architecture, make sure that something is actually built that is appropriate. And if you're just trusting the people on site and it's a trust me bro situation, that's not okay.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, we will have discussion later. I have one more public speaker's card prior to this. Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with PRC. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Apologies. We appreciate the time cutoff because it helps us stay on track, but we're all learning how to work with it. Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with PRC. Please state your name and address.
Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with the Preservation Resource Center at 923 Chapatula Street. The PRC agrees with the staff report and the recommendation to deny the retention of unpermitted demolition on the facade of 700 Webster Street. This is an incredibly unfortunate situation, especially since a full demolition of this building was avoided in June 2025, when this commission denied an application from a previous prospective owner. At that meeting, the PRC supported the denial of the demolition request because the HDLC staff report had found the building was a prime candidate for rehabilitation, and we hoped the denial would prompt an appropriate restoration of the historic craftsman house. We appreciate the previous comments that referenced that situation there. Now, under different ownership, 700 Webster Street is threatened again by work that has not followed the HDLC guidelines and has resulted in the permanent loss of historic materials that significantly alters the proportions and design harmony of the front facade. We ask the commission to deny the retention of this unpermitted work and fine the owners appropriately. Additionally, we have heard, as we just heard here today, but we've also heard from a neighbor of the property who noted several life safety concerns regarding the construction work on this site, including hazardous lead paint exposure. We know that's not under the jurisdiction of HDLC, but we hope that the decision made at the meeting here today can prompt additional and immediate inspections and enforcement from safety and permits. Thanks.
Thank you. Prior to discussion, I just want to address a handful of comments, both from the public and from the applicant, and just make sure that it's clear what we have jurisdiction over here. As I'm sure many know, we are here to review by HDLC's guidelines only, so a number of the items that are being cited by the public, just as a reminder, we don't have jurisdiction over those things. We obviously hope these meetings get aired in Safety and Permits office and other places, so we do hope that sometimes your comments make it past this, but as you know, we would encourage you to continue your conversations with those jurisdictions that regulate those items. In terms of what we review, it is partial demolition, so we review the demolition of the historic fabric, and we did, just as note to clarify, and forgive me, I don't remember exactly what year, it was several years ago now, the demolition fine was increased, and additionally, HDLC spent time on a committee reviewing how to clearly explain this and be transparent about how we look at fines with that new fine increase. And so in the staff's report, they've identified there is a rubric at which point the staff looks at it and says yes, no. They give us, they answer questions for us, which makes it easier when this commission looks at the staff report, and they've done that. And then, so the staff's report is recommending denial with a Tier 1 fine, and you can see details of that in the staff report. A Tier 1 fine in this is between 0 and 33% of the assessed building value, which means that it is 0 and the maximum Tier 1, although the commission has the discretion to go as high as the maximum fine range. So Tier 1 is 0 to $21,904. The maximum at Tier 3 would be $66,375, and that is a percentage. So I just want to make sure that's clear. It's a great learning opportunity for those that are here, for the owner, so you know that as well, but all of that's documented, and thank you to the staff for taking time to do that for us. It really helps as we review this. With that, I'm going to see if there's any additional public comment that we have missed on this application. Is there anything else? No additional public comment? Commissioners?
Yes, I need to say something.
Yes, I am, what would you like to say?
I would like to say that Mr. Pons is the neighbor behind us that has only been harassing us. None of these people are neighbors that he brought in. He's been harassing us since we started. We are fully, public and safety, we're fully permitted. He's called the permit people out multiple times. We have never been cited. We're doing good work. That was a very mischaracterization of the work we're doing and of the safety. Everything is fine. We are completely renovating it to where it should be. Walking in the Audubon Park one day, saw the house, that we call it the Restoration Hardware House because it's black. Saw those big windows. We said, oh my God, wouldn't it look better like that because those front windows are really not pretty. That's all we did. We did not have any idea, I promise you. We're not trying to skirt people. When he's talking about the Laurel House Street we did, there was no problem with you all telling us to knock it off. There were holes in the floor and there was nothing. We weren't skirting anyone, fully permitted, fully using architects, fully going through the system.
Wonderful. So you are
I just want to clear that up because that was absolutely.
So you are aware that you are permitted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're now aware that you have HDLC stamped plans?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. To clarify, you currently have a stop work order on the property?
Yes.
As of 5/20? Okay, great. So you currently cannot continue work on the property, which is why you were in front of us today to review. Right. So we are not currently, everything's not okay right now.
I know that, but I'm telling you, all this other stuff is a bunch of garbage. It's ridiculous. It goes on and on.
Understood. I'm sure there's lots of things outside of this. We just ask that we keep this.
Stay on this, yeah, stay on this.
Thank you. And at that point, I'm going to look to commissioners to continue this one. It is in Uptown, so Commissioner Lupin, I hope you walk your dog. Is this in your dog walk area?
It's very much on my dog walk.
Great, okay.
Area. And yeah, I saw these windows at some point as I was walking by, and I meant to look at the permitted drawings to see if these were actually approved, and I'm glad somebody else pointed out that they weren't and complained about it. Because I think they just do a disservice to the house. I think the door does a disservice to the house as well. So since that's what is before us today, I'm going to move. We deny the retention of those items. It's tempting to also assess a fines, and I'm not shy about assessing fines, since I've been on this committee. But I don't think the other issues are really for us. If basically you are going to put those back, then I wouldn't assess a fine. I feel like, except that you've made a statement that you don't have those materials anymore.
I'll have to go have them made or whatever. I know I have to put them back. I'll figure it out.
And I think they're very much makeable, and I think there's enough photographic evidence of this that you can put them back. So I'm going to move to basically deny the retention of the changes of these. And that's it.
So to clarify, you are denying the retention of so we have to be really clear here because of demolition.
Of the windows.
Of the demolition.
Of the
material of the demolition.
Of the front windows and the door.
Okay, and you are not assessing a fine?
I don't really see why.
Okay, are you putting in place a requirement that they reinstall remake what matches historic fabric?
Is that assumed in the?
Well, because we don't have any control over what goes back without that being specified.
Okay.
You're saying they can't have this.
Okay.
So what we need to say is you can't have this, and it needs to go back to the condition that it was before.
Yeah. But I'd be interested in as to why the staff is recommending that. Basically, the fine, if the agreement is on the owner's side, is that they're going to put it back the way that it was before.
Well, the fine is really a deterrent, and so
get it.
Well, anytime we have a violation that goes to administrative adjudication, they're fined and still required to rectify the situation. So it's not like you buy the violation. So I sort of feel like I respect your logic about, if they will go back to the historic condition, you're okay not levying a fine. That I don't have a problem with. But I do think it's important that we understand that the fine is meant to be a deterrent for other people watching this, as well as the applicant here, and that we have to be specific about the requirement.
Turning them back to the way they were is going to be a fine. It's going to be expensive.
Excuse me, I'm going to ask you to hold your comments because we're discussing between staff and...
I'm trying to help you out.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah.
And to the point of how do we require that it be returned is a question.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is we've got photographic evidence, but the thing I would maybe add is that we need shop drawings, architectural drawings that indicate how that gets replicated, because it's hard enough as an architect, but not as an architect, photographs aren't enough, and we don't want them showing up with vinyl windows that look kind of similar.
And to clarify that we have an applicant who arrived stating they did not know that they, like HDLC, that we're in a historic district, so I do think if we can just put very specific instructions on this, that would be helpful. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. So can I do that by proviso, basically, and basically add to that a proviso that shop drawings be submitted and approved by staff prior to installation?
So it basically puts it into our responsibility, similar to a full control area, which we've done before when somebody's completely demolished a house and it was required to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And can we clarify the motion? Sorry, I know that there's been lots of discussion on these recently. So to clarify the motion that the demolition of historic fabric on the front facade, that the staff, that gets reviewed. Because I know that you're noting this, just so that they have very clarity what they're reviewing, because it is the primary facade historic fabric demolition that we're concerned with.
Correct.
I'm just trying not to be specific about door, but not transom and window, and
I understand. So
Okay.
so basically, I would move to deny the retention of the demolition of the principal windows and door on the Webster Street side of this house, add a proviso that as the doors and windows are restored to their original configuration, that shop drawings be submitted to the staff for their approval prior to their installation.
May I also add material to that? Configuration and material.
Yeah, configuration and material, correct.
and that they'll be, I would assume, stamped by HDLC. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful motion, very thorough.
One other item though, the siding, right, was also. So that siding is probably wood. It's the 3-inch, very tight reveal on a Craftsman home.
Yeah,
So.
my preference would be just to, if we could simplify the motion to demolition of primary facade materials, right?
Okay.
That would cover you.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. I agree to the editing of my, to be the primary facade materials.
Thank you. Clear as kind. Yes, wonderful. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second by Commissioner Carson? Okay, great. We have a motion on the floor, so there's no discussion at this point. I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote on this. Motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor? Hands up, everyone. I got in trouble last time. Everyone in favor? Yes?
I guess so. I mean,
Okay.
I think she should be. I think she should be in trouble. I mean,
Okay, so
yeah.
I can. Okay, great. So all those in favor? Everyone has voted yes, except, yep, great. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We have moved to deny the retention of the front facade, the demolition of the front facade materials, including windows, doors, transom, siding, that all materials be restored on this front facade, and shop drawings are provided to HDLC both for material and profile of those things, as noted. So thank you and good luck with your project. Hopefully you now know you're in a historic district for future. And thank you. Apologies, we did not get back to questions. It moved quickly. There is 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing. I'm happy to answer if there were any additional questions briefly on this, just as a clarification.
The one thing that I would add is that there are a lot of issues and concerns, I understand. I think a lot of those should be addressed to safety and permits and not to HDLC.
Yes.
We will have a conversation about that, and any items that we see that we'll actually have a conversation with safety and permits.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And then additionally, for if there is like lead paint and removal of that, that's also noted. Did you have a question? I'm so sorry.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I totally agree with you. I'm sorry. I think I was mentioning those to just make sure they were actually put into the record. We've had a ton of issues actually getting the city to respond in any way, and the HDLC has been the only organization that's actually sent out inspectors, actually taken this seriously. My questions are, and I'm sorry I got cut off of time, but they haven't complied with the stop work notice for exterior work. They've continued to do exterior work, and it's obvious in the photos that the HDLC inspector came out and took on the date of the stop work inspection that the status of the outside of the house has changed from what it looked like then to what it looks like today. None of our things, of all of the neighbors, there's only 8 houses on the block of Constance, counting this one. All the neighbors are extremely concerned about this, and the reason that they're concerned is just because I don't know. I mean,
we can look. I will say this: we've completed the motion on that application. I do have one more after this, so I just want to be respectful of their time.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
But no, but listen, we hear that. We hear your frustration. We know there are a number of other items. We just can't do anything about it, this body. I will tell you this,
But you do have the ability to issue a fine, which would actually make the flipper
Again,
that is only motivated by money.
We have a motion that we just completed.
Okay.
We discussed it at length. We cannot discuss that any further. I will say that the director is about to state, but I do know that the staff can help elevate things to safety and permits. I would also encourage you to reach out to your council member as well, to make sure that your concerns are heard.
I was just going to state that like I said, we will make sure that we reach out to safety and permits tomorrow. We're going to go over the plans that we have that were submitted to us and see if there are issues that we need to just have a conversation with the other department. And also, we will make sure that our inspector goes out tomorrow to make sure that everything is either stopped or is proceeding as it's supposed to. So we're taking this very seriously, as you said.
And we appreciate that the staff has been responsive. We can't do anything further to help at this point, except for allow the staff to work through the channels to talk through that. But I can assure you that the city would like to hear your comments.
I totally want to be respectful of your time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk at all. I'm proud to live in a city that has this opportunity. Is there a timeline that's going to be imposed for them to actually comply with stopping work? And I'm assuming the stop work notice is going to continue until
they come into compliance. So it is to their advantage to do this on a
and then is compliance? It sounded like even though
discuss this offline.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Proceed with
I apologize.
Way out of order.
Thank you. Thank you all. We understand in here, but thank you so much.
Just to be very clear, they are required to replace the old materials.
I'm going to let the staff will talk with you afterwards.
Talk about this after.
I'm going to move forward to the next application. Thank you for your patience to the last one on the application on this. Thank you all for coming and your comments. Item I, 419 Bounty Street. I assume this is you because it's the last one. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
KV Harper, residential address 419 Bounty.
Thank you.
Okay. This is an application for the retention of several items at a contributed rated 2-story single-family residential building in deviation of the certificate of appropriateness in Algiers Point full control. We have several items. I'll go through them kind of one by one. The first is the roof shingle color. Asphalt shingle roof on this building was installed as part of the renovation as approved, while the HDLC approved documents specifically indicate that a new roof shingle must be selected from the list of pre-approved shingles and colors. Brown shingle roofing was installed instead. The applicant has acknowledged that this is an oversight on their part. Because the building has been substantially renovated and the shingle isn't of an approved product type, because the brown is expected to weather over time and darken, staff has no objection to that request for retention. For the roof tiles, the design guidelines state that roof tiles and finials are visually important features accentuating the changes in roof slopes, and HDLC encourages their retention. The HLC requested the installation of existing roof tiles during re-roofing. We also allow for new Hector Ridge tiles if the originals have been discarded. The applicant has noted that this would be a financial hardship, and we'd just like to remind everyone that the certificate of appropriateness allows up to 6 months, so hopefully that allows some time to generate those costs. The third option is the third item of retention is inappropriate windows. New windows were installed as part of the renovation of the original portion of the building to remain. The vinyl windows that were installed do not meet the guidelines set by the HLC. However, we do acknowledge that the existing windows were substandard and inappropriately sized. So for this reason, we have no objection to retention of the new windows if they remove the half screens. We do also want to note the retention of wood trim. Because we're keeping these windows, we do request that we deny the retention of wood trim. They would need to remove the sill apron and repair the cladding. And then lastly is the porch railing installed does not match what was approved in the drawings, and we don't approve highly ornamental metals. However, in this case, the decorative design, kind of a Gothic design, is fairly minimal. It's also set far back from the street, so we have no objection to retention of that item as well.
Thank you. The applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, so I'd like to thank the staff for working with us to alleviate these items. I would also just like to say we've worked really hard to improve the home. So we saved all remaining historical aspects of the home. Nothing was thrown out. We actually kept the old roofing tiles. Unfortunately, those cannot be put back because it is a fortified roof. As discussed with staff, adding the heckler tiles would be over $6,000, which at this time we cannot afford. We also got quotes on the wood trim for carpentry and labor. Those are also close to $10,000. So we are looking at a cost of both of these items to be between $15,000 and $20,000. The other thing that I would just like to say is that overall, we have improved the front facade historical character of the house. So the door that was installed, that is a refurbished door. We also included the correct height of the front window. So I don't know if staff wants to show how the house looked previously. And so you could also tell we spent a lot of time, money, and effort also restoring the wood trim as well in the house, and also installed new gutter systems as well. So I don't take lightly the changes that were needed to bring this house up to its historical character, but at this time we just cannot incur the additional costs, considering that I believe that the house does look historically accurate, and the window and trim is not entirely visible, that level of detail from the street.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this property? No additional public comment. Just as a note in the future, so you're not in the retention section, you don't have to wait all the way through this meeting. Work with the staff. If you are starting to make changes during your project or thinking about making changes, please work with the staff prior to doing those changes so that you don't have to get held up in your project. Okay, so just to note that. Again, we would prefer not see retention applications at all on our docket of items if possible, and just encourage people to work with the staff. They're there to help you. All right, so with that, this is in Algiers. Commissioners?
Just for staff, to be clear, we can no longer do anything like in the future if they replace the windows.
No, so especially for things that have a lifespan of up to 20 years, like roof shingles, our legal counsel has told us that is not something that we can follow up on. I would like to clarify too, for the window trim, we're just requesting that the aprons be removed. There's no other changes.
Okay, thank you.
If I follow the staff recommendations, then really the only thing we're asking for repairing is that apron trim, right?
And removal of half screens on the windows.
And removal of half screens. So I think this is a pretty...
And installing ridge tiles.
Oh, yes.
Oh, installing ridge tiles, thank you.
The big one, honestly.
Yeah.
However, as this is a fortified roof, and so this is, if we are going to require reinstallation of the ridge tiles, that is something that we are bringing to you, or this applicant is bringing to you as a hardship concern because of the expense. So that's something that that this commission could address.
Excuse me, will I be allowed an opportunity to speak?
Yes.
Yes.
My card, so.
Can you just come for your name on the record, please?
Yes.
Apologies, yes, come stand, sorry. Please state your name and address for the record.
Name is Patrick Washington. Residency is 419 Bounty. So I would like to thank the committee for this opportunity to speak on behalf of our home. I'm a lifelong resident of New Orleans, leaving after Katrina, serving honorably 10 years in the United States Marine Corps, coming back to the city to start a career and grow my family. So, as we know, the reason we are here today is to forego these modifications being requested. This is our home. This is not just some project to push off to make money. And to make these changes would place a financial burden on our household. And we would like not to see that happen. We would like to have, an opportunity for my son to grow up in this beautiful neighborhood and to fully enjoy the New Orleans experience. And thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, for economic hardship, I know we had a committee on this years ago, but my understanding is that economic hardship, there is a level at which it is not reviewed by us, but that it's difficult for us to review with that. I mean, we're just taking the word that it is an economic hardship.
I would counter that with saying,
apologies. This question is for the staff, procedurally.
Oh, I did still, well, we allowed the other group to speak for almost 30 minutes. I would love to say that we have more than placed this house back in historic accuracy for the neighborhood of Algiers from what it was before. And we have done far beyond, what was there. So
That's understood. I have a question for the staff relating to economic hardship review, just to make sure in terms of precedent. So
we have, excuse me.
Yeah.
We have reviewed elements for retention in the past and taken hardship at the commission level, financial hardship into consideration, particularly in a situation where there has been an enormous amount of, positive modifications to the building, et cetera. So I don't think that this is setting an unusual precedent.
Okay, just wanted to clarify, that's all. For procedure. We appreciate your comment. Sorry, for procedure, we have to ask some specific questions. I think that given there's 5 items on this list, I will say the staff has clearly worked to accept a lot of these items and recommend no objection. So just to reiterate one more time, so the roof shingles, there's 5 items that were in front of us. There's the roof shingles. There's no objection to the color being something that would not normally be approvable, but is, given it's there, understanding that. The roof ridge tiles, I think, are in question, whether those get reinstalled, given what we just heard, it is a fortified roof, so just to acknowledge. And then the wood window. The windows are just no objection with the proviso that the half screens are to be removed and the apron at the trim. And then the porch railing is no objection. So I will say, that is a very good compromise in terms of a small scale of things to be amended on a retention application with this number of items. And we appreciate what you put into the house to restore it and agree that it is significantly improved. So thank you.
For the staff, can you just explain what he has to do for the window trim? You said it wasn't.
Yes, it's the apron at the bottom of the window. If you kind of compare the existing from the new, and it's just that extra board that needs to be removed. It should just be the cladding, siding going across. It's relatively minor.
Okay.
There's
Our hope was by getting the trim more in line with historic, then we were doing what we can to keep the inappropriate windows, but.
Just to speak to that, my take is that once you have these vinyl windows, the windows are not historic feeling at all anymore. And I would just make a motion, given the fortified roof, it's not easy to get those tiles on there in that way, and the financial hardship and the amount of work they've done. So my motion is just to approve the retention of all these aspects.
I'll second.
Great. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor and we have a second. All those in favor? Raise your hands, everyone. Almost the last one. All those in favor? Motion approved unanimously.
Who seconded it?
I did.
King.
Okay.
Commissioner King. Thank you for asking. Motion approved unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. You guys have a great day.
We have one item that we moved from consent agenda. I have not forgotten a big note on here to remember. So that item that we moved from consent agenda was item, Commissioner Carson is going to step out of the room. That was item D from consent agenda 23, 29 to 31 Dauphine Street. We'll still review it as consent agenda. Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no public comment, commissioners?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Hackenberg. Seconded by Commissioner Green. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. Going back to, apologies, I probably should have read this one before, but under new business retention, I'm all over the place today, guys, sorry. New business retention applications, item J, just for clarification, 827 to 29 Atlantic Avenue was removed from the agenda and will not be heard today. Okay, moving forward, item X is, item 10, ratification of Architectural Review Committee and staff action since Wednesday, May 6, 2026. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Green. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. HDLC reports and communication. No reports. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month. Thank you.